Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto is forced into the ritual for the god Jashin by Hidan part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Naruto was really scared and he had no idea how to fix his problem. He had been sleeping great for the first time in a while, but then he felt like someone had come into his apartment, so he woke up and looked around. He was shocked to see a man looking down on him with a scary look in his eyes and a giant scythe on his back. Rejoice, child, Jashin-sama has chosen you to be one of his followers. He has sent me to gift you with his powers, so that you too may spread carnage and destruction in his name. Tonight you will receive Jashin's blessing, spoke the man with a kind smile, but the darkness in his eyes freaked Naruto out. This guy gave off a weird vibe, like the natural energy that people gave off that Naruto could somewhat feel had been changed, and now it was like this guy's, old and powerful. Okay, spoke Naruto right before he tried to run away. It was not to be, as the man was much faster than he had seemed and quickly grabbed Naruto and muffled his cries with his hand before slamming Naruto on the ground very hard, which caused him to become dazed. Naruto's head was swimming with stars and it felt like he wasn't even in his own body, he had been slammed so hard. He heard some rumbling and the sound of things being moved around and saw through clouded eyes as the silvered-haired man with the weird purple eyes start to knock over his things and move them into the kitchen. He kept doing this for a while, but eventually Naruto was able to get his senses back and tried to run again. You are a quick one, aren't you? That is good, means you will live longer, spoke Hidan as he grabbed Naruto and slammed him onto the ground again. This time though he tied up his hands and feet with ninja wire so he wouldn't be able to run away again. The boy needed to be blessed by Jashin, it was the will of Jashin after all, so of course he was happy to do it. The boy had a lot of crap in his small crappy apartment. It had been hard enough getting into the village without being caught, so he was already a bit stressed, so he wasn't exactly gentle with the boy's things. It wasn't like he was going to need them soon anyways. Alright, it is almost time, spoke Hidan as he looked out the window to see the moon was almost directly overhead. When the moon was directly overhead, the ritual could begin. Hidan started to draw pentagons all over the floor with intricate designs and shapes until the floor almost looked like a mural. After that he grabbed the boy and untied him right before placing him in the center of a giant pentagon with a triangle in the center with a circle around it. Alright, here we go. Dear great god Jashin, I have brought you the child you wished for, so please bless him with the power to go forth and create carnage and destruction in your name, spoke Hidan as he started to go through hand signs. When he was done he slammed his hand on a certain symbol and channeled his chakra into it. He watched with sickening glee as the blood started to travel towards the boy and a red glow overtook his body. Naruto's body started to absorb the blood symbols and chakra from inside of the blood, which was causing his body to change. His red hair was getting light and lighter until it turned a striking silver color. His blue eyes kept on getting darker until they matched Hidan's exactly. His body became more toned, though it was still natural looking. Besides that, the boy looked relatively the same, though Hidan knew he was having some terrible nightmares right about now. I am just going to leave these here with you, wouldn't want to get caught by Leaf Ninja for staying too long, spoke Hidan as he jumped out of the window and ran into the darkness to try and avoid any ninja that would come investigating the spike in chakra that he had caused. Naruto was in agonizing pain. It felt like every atom of his being was exploding, only for the pieces to come back together only to do it again. He had hoped that his Uzumaki blood would have helped him to stop whatever it was the man had done to him, but it seemed that it just wasn't something that could be healed, even though Naruto felt that it was some kind of poison. When Naruto was finally able to pass out, he thought he would be able to escape the pain, but the only thing that changed was what type of pain he felt. He went from the physical pain to mental pain. He first started off in a black void that had nothing beside him, but soon it was filled with people all looking at him with hatred and loathing in their eyes. At first they just taunted him by calling him names, throwing basic things at him, and then talking about how worthless he was. Soon though they moved on to things that really hurt his heart deep down, and they said that his parents had abandoned him because they didn't love him, that the Hokage knew who they were, and why he was hated, but thought that it was funny to watch him suffer, that he would never reach his dreams and would be forever hated. Naruto was scared, his heart felt like it was going to break, and he felt his mind starting to cave in, but something told him that they were wrong. He could feel it in his heart that his mother had loved him. He had no idea why his father's opinion didn't matter to him, but he knew she loved him. Eventually the villagers started to clear out, and one by one they disappeared only to give way to a light that filled that endless void. Soon a red-headed woman appeared and laid his head on her lap and started to rub his head. She kept telling him how everything was going to be alright and that she would protect him. He felt safe and soon his nightmare ended. The sound of his alarm clock going off rocketed Naruto out of his hellish dream. He looked around, his nerves shaking him all over as his heart raced like racing horses would. He saw that his living room was bare and that all of his stuff had been shoved into his kitchen, except a rather old book with the words Jashinism written on the spine and a silver necklace with a pendant at the bottom with a pentagon at the bottom. It was in the shape of a large circle with a triangle in the center. What the hell just happened? Spoke Naruto as he got up and crushed his alarm clock. He was tired of that thing, and he was feeling a hell of a lot more violent this morning. When he looked back at the book, he groaned but picked it up and started to read it anyway. What the fuck? Spoke Naruto as he read page after page from the book. He missed an entire day of class, and didn't even eat while he read his new book. At one point he had put the necklace on, so now it hung from his neck. Naruto read about weird rituals that were weird types of jutsu, something that Naruto had always wanted to learn. He learned that he was supposedly now immortal, with the only way of dying being malnutrition, though that sounded like a painful way to die. He continued to read, though his reading abilities were only basic, so he struggled a bit, and learned about everything that had happened to him, and honestly he liked it. But the image of that woman who had protected him in his sleep kept popping up in his mind, and he felt inner peace when it happened. The next day, when Naruto woke up, he looked out of the window and saw that it was early morning outside. He didn't know what he wanted to do, but he knew he wasn't going to stay in this village to be tortured for all eternity. This village had never been home to him, even though they wore his clan's symbol. It burned Naruto deeply at their ignorance, but there was nothing he could do about that. He quickly grabbed some of the clothes that the Hokage had recently bought for him. Now Naruto was wearing some dark green cargo shorts, black ninja sandals with ninja tape wrapped around his legs, and a black shirt with a red swirl on the back for his clan. Around his neck he wore the silver pentagon necklace that the silver-haired man had left him and some mesh armor under his shirt. Naruto looked in the mirror, and although he looked almost completely different, he decided to do a few extra things to his appearance. He grabbed a headband and put it on his forehead and pushed backwards, causing his hair to be pushed back, like how Soul does in Soul Eater. It looked cool, and Naruto figured it was a great look for him. Looking into the mirror, Naruto honestly had a hard time recognizing himself. There were so many things different about his 7-year-old body that it was hard to imagine that he was so much different looking. Okay, I can do this. All I have to do is walk out of the village. How hard is that? There isn't any way they would recognize me, spoke Naruto, but then he noticed that his voice was the same. Damn it, shouted Naruto, feeling like there was always a catch. Nothing came for free in this world, especially for him, and he just figured if he kept his mouth closed then he would be able to get away. Naruto soon left his apartment, making sure not to be seen leaving it. His heart was beating very quickly, but he knew that if he was quiet then nobody would recognize him, although he didn't like the idea that he had changed so much physically. It felt like his identity had been stolen, but in truth he was happy to trade it for his freedom. As Naruto walked down the street he got odd looks, but they were not the same ones he was used to getting. Now these people were whispering about things like foreigners having weird hair colors, and someone even mentioned he thought it was a lighting country thing. Naruto let out his breath that he didn't even know he was holding when nobody recognized him. It felt weird to not walk down the streets and not have anyone say anything bad about you, for nobody to shoot you a glare they would a mass murder, or for someone to throw something at him. It actually felt nice, and he realized that maybe this is what others felt every day. It wasn't hard to see why they were always so happy when he wasn't around, but Naruto knew deep down that those looks would turn right back to the old ones if they found out who he was. Eventually Naruto got to the west entrance of the village and was confronted by 2 Chunin who were known as the Eternal Guardians because they were always on guard duty. It was supposed to be shuffled around, but for some reason they were always the ones chosen. Naruto just figured they must have done something to get that treatment. Hey, I don't remember you coming into the village, spoke Izumo as he looked down on Naruto. He knew he hadn't seen any kid with silver hair and purple eyes well ever, so how did he get into the village? Izumo was about average height with long brown hair that covered his right eye. He wore his forehead protector on his forehead, and instead of keeping it on a headband they kept it on a cap that covered his entire head. His build wasn't all that great, leaving him kind of thin, but he wore the average Konoha Chunin outfit with long sleeves so most people wouldn't notice. He wore the standard Chunin vest proudly, and had lots of scrolls and stuff inside of it. I came in with the last trade group that came here, but stayed a bit to see the sights. I am supposed to meet up with them in Blima village in 1 week's time, spoke Naruto in his best childlike voice, though it came out high-pitched and not very believable. Blima village? Yeah, that is where the last caravan leader said he was going, spoke the other Chunin as he looked over at his friend from his chair. His name was Kotetsu and he didn't see why Izumo was blocking the kid. It wasn't like it mattered what he did, Wasn't like a kid could break into Konoha regardless of how skilled he was. Kotetsu was a bit bigger than his friend Izumo, with long dark blue hair that stuck out in every direction. He wore a white piece of cloth across his face that went under his eyes but over his nose. His build was a bit sturdier than his friend's, but he wore the same exact outfit as him. He didn't wear the full-headed cap with the forehead protects, opting to go with the more traditional forehead protector sash. Kotetsu, you are being irresponsible. We have to make sure that the boy isn't a spy or something, spoke Izumo as he looked over at Kotetsu with an annoyed look because he wasn't helping him. Well then, pat him down, and see if he has anything that would point towards being a traitor or spy, spoke the man as he went back to shuffling some cards on a fold-out table that Naruto was sure he wasn't supposed to have. Alright, spoke Izumo as he gave Naruto a quick pat down, but stopped at a scroll at Naruto's hip. What is that, spoke Izumo as he pulled the scroll out of Naruto's pocket and examined it. It is a sealing scroll that lets me store all of my supplies. My dad taught me, spoke Naruto, not expecting for this to happen. Most civilians didn't even have a clue how chakra worked, so now he was in some deep trouble. How did your father know how to use chakra, asked Izumo as he looked down at Naruto with hard eyes. He looked a hair's breadth away from arresting Naruto right there on the spot, which caused Naruto to think on his feet very quickly. He was a monk at the fire temple, blurted out Naruto as he took a subconscious step backwards. The man eyed him for a moment, and then looked at the scroll. Alright, I will believe you, but I do need to check out all of the things in here, spoke Izumo as he started to unseal everything that was in Naruto's scroll. Eventually he worked his way down to the last thing that Naruto wanted him to find. What is this, asked the man as he held up the book that the silver-haired man had left for him. He obviously didn't realize what it was, or the dark religious texts that were in there, along with the strange jutsu and intro to what was known as the following. It is a sacred book describing a man's journey through the 9 circles of hell. It is a first edition, spoke Naruto, hoping that the man would not read it. The book described a dark religion and a highly destructive god that he knew he would be arrested for just having, let alone practicing. Izumo, how long are you going to make me wait? It is your turn, shouted Kotetsu as he looked back at his best friend who was harassing some young kid. He really had to be bored if he was stopping children from leaving the village. Alright, I will be there in a second, spoke Izumo, giving up on trying to figure out what was up with this strange kid, and gave him his stuff back. After the boy had everything sealed up, he quickly took off down the road, trying to get as far away from him as possible. Man, you must really be bored if you are harassing kids now, spoke Kotetsu as he looked down at his cards and put 3 kings down and watched as Izumo put down the other king and 3 threes. You just have to ruin my fun, don't you? What if that kid had something important on him, and it would weaken our village with it gone, spoke Izumo with a bored one as he drew from the deck and put down a 2, 3, and 4 of hearts. I would say that things can't get much worse and that at worst we get moved over to library duty, spoke Kotetsu as he drew from the deck and laid down a 5 of hearts. I guess you are right, spoke Izumo as anime tears started to run down his face. Naruto felt so great, he was free and nobody was going to take that from him. Naruto knew that he would need to get something to eat soon, but other than that he was perfectly fine. He would no longer have to deal with being looked at like something that was less than human or be forced to eat things that should have been thrown away. No, from now on he would be living the way he was meant to from now on. Thank God for the eternal guardians, laughed Naruto as he ran faster than he knew he could through the forest. He was sad that he never learned to do the things that the ninja did, but at least he would be able to live a more enjoyable life now. 1 week later. Kakuzu was not the person you wanted to piss off, and he was the last person you wanted to steal from. He was a giant of a man with a temper that knew no bounds and was as deadly as he was powerful. Kakuzu was very tall with tan skin and had weird eyes. The eye itself was light green with no pupil, and where it was supposed to be white it was red. He had good-sized muscles designed for strength and speed in mind, but also endurance as well. He wore faded dark blue pants with black sandals and white socks. He wore a big black overcoat on his body but no shirt because that would just get in the way of his kenjutsu's abilities. Almost his entire head was covered by something. He wore this big gray thing that covered most of his head and all of his neck that looked like a ski mask made of some kind of tough material. On top of that was a faded dark blue headband that was pointed like a triangle at the top and had his forehead protector on it with a slash running through it. His mouth was covered by a black mask, possibly a breather to filter out poisons. Kakuzu was anything but happy as he ran through his least favorite country after 2 idiots who he had been chasing after since the Land of Grass, which was a border country of the Land of Fire. They had been stupid enough to try and steal from him. Well, they weren't about to get away with their lives, but to Kakuzu's anger they were good at running away. Damn it, Midori, we are going to have to stop and fight him. He doesn't even show any signs of getting tired, spoke Shiba as he landed on a tree branch and turned around to face Kakuzu. He had his kunai ready for anything that this giant man would throw at them. Alright, shouted Midori as he landed on a branch not far from Shiba. He had his hands close together ready to use his jutsu at a moment's notice. When Kakuzu saw that they had stopped, he smirked underneath his mask. He was thinking of just turning them to ash, but then they might have bounties and he was in need of a new heart for his collection. Kakuzu landed on a branch not far from the two Kusa missing Nin and eyed them for a moment. They still had their chunin jackets, which wasn't a smart idea, even if it did provide a modicum of protection. You two made a big mistake trying to steal from me, spoke Kakuzu as he eyed them with his creepy eyes. He watched as one of them started to shiver, but the other with the glasses thought he was strong enough to take him on. Foolish. I don't think so. We ran because we didn't want any of our former comrades to try and arrest us, but now that we are in the land of fire they won't be able to follow us. Now we can kill you and take everything that you have, spoke Midori as he started to go through hand signs. When he was done he shouted out fire style, great fireball jutsu, and exhaled a large fireball that shot out in Kakuzu's direction. When Kakuzu saw the C-ranked jutsu rushing towards him he almost laughed, but he didn't. He started to go through hand signs that were so fast they looked like a blur to the normal person. Fire style, intelligent hard work, shouted Kakuzu as he exhaled a much more powerful stream of fire that clashed with the giant fireball. When the two jutsu connected they battled for dominance for a moment before Kakuzu's jutsu overpowered the first one and combined with it, thus launching it back at Midori, but now it had his own jutsu's power added to it. Shit, shouted Midori as he jumped out of the tree trying to get away from the super-powered fire jutsu as he watched it burn through tree after tree leaving them nothing but ashes. When he landed on the ground he looked back to where Kakuzu was, but noticed he wasn't there. Then all of a sudden Kakuzu was in front of him and rammed his hand into his chest. I don't need a fire release heart, but now you do, spoke Kakuzu as he crushed Midori's heart inside of his chest with his bare hands. Midori's eyes got big before blood started to pour out of them and his mouth. Soon his eyes rolled back into his skull and he was dead. You bastard, shouted Shiba as he started to go through hand signs. Water style, water trumpet jutsu, shouted Shiba as he launched a powerful line of pressurized water towards Kakuzu, who didn't even try and dodge it. Water release, that is the heart I need, spoke Kakuzu as the water jutsu hit him and sent him through a tree as it destroyed the area it hit. When it was all done Shiba had jumped down and was looking at where Kakuzu had been knocked through the tree and started laughing. Ha, not so tough now are you, shouted Shiba as he stood in the mud that he had created and looked at the ruble that Kakuzu was laying in. His blood turned to ice when Kakuzu stood up, but now his skin was completely black. How is it possible? I hit you dead on with my water jutsu, shouted Shiba, whose legs were shaking. Water release is inferior to earth release, it is only natural, spoke Kakuzu as he stood up. He channeled fire chakra through his body, causing the water on him and his clothes to turn to steam. Then he looked at Shiba, who looked ready to crap himself. Now I think you have something that belongs to me, spoke Kakuzu as he lifted his hand up. Shiba was scared and tried to run away, but then a hand grabbed him by the back of the neck and started to drag him across the mud as he kicked and screamed profanities. No, please don't kill me, shouted Shiba as he did everything in his power to make Kakuzu let him go, but the old bounty hunter wasn't about to let his newest heart get away that easily. Be quiet, spoke Kakuzu, already tired of this guy's whining. He lifted his other hand up and watched as the threads started to come out of his body and shoot into this weakling's body. It only took a moment for Kakuzu to take the man's heart and then assimilate it into his own body. Thank you for your contribution, spoke Kakuzu as he dropped Shiba's body onto the ground and started to walk away. As Kakuzu was walking away he felt an odd sensation coming from close by. He strained his ears to hear anything, though soon the sounds of idiots assaulted his ears. He was about to stop listening when he overheard one of them say something about a kid about to challenge them. Kakuzu thought about it and figured he could use some entertainment, so he started running towards where the sounds were coming from. Naruto was just walking around minding his own business when out of nowhere he was surrounded by 12 bandits, all varying in shape and size. They were an ugly lot, that was for sure, with all of them wielding different weapons such as axes, katana, knives, and other things that Naruto could see they had no real training with. Eventually a man with no hair walked up to Naruto with an evil look in his eyes. Naruto could instantly tell he was the boss here, and wished he would put on a shirt. Just because you have abs doesn't mean everyone wants to see them. Alright brat, empty your pockets and you get to live, spoke the man as he held a katana out as if showing off. Naruto wasn't an idiot. These guys couldn't kill him, but they could beat the crap out of him for sure, but for some reason he was a lot more violent and quick to anger since the silver-haired man had turned him immortal, which was probably why what he did wasn't so smart. Fuck you, Baldy! I wouldn't give you what you get after your body gets done digesting it, shouted Naruto with a crazy look in his purple eyes. The other bandits looked shocked, but the leader looked super pissed off. You are going to regret speaking to me like that, you brat, shouted the man, and he lifted the katana up and pulled it back like it was a bat or something. Naruto wasn't about to let this man cleave him in half and quickly punched the man right in his balls, causing him to double over in pain. Naruto quickly grabbed the katana the man had dropped and ready for the attack from the other goons. He just cup checked the boss, spoke a rather fat guy as he held his balls in mock pain. His weapon of choice was a large sludge hammer that Naruto was sure he could cause some serious damage with. Let's kill this brat, shouted another man, who was somewhat short with 2 knives he used as his weapons. He was the first to attack Naruto, but Naruto wasn't like other 8-year-olds. Naruto had always been fast with great reflexes, so he was able to get out of the little man's attack and launch his own attack. The little man seemed surprised that an 8-year-old was actually fighting back, but quickly got over it and tried to stab Naruto. Naruto wasn't about to get stabbed and used the ranged katana to keep the man at bay. When he saw his chance, he ducked under a wide slash and then sliced the little man across the belly with the katana as hard as he could, which allowed him to split the man in half. He killed Hatsu, shouted another man as he pointed towards Naruto. This seemed to snap everyone out of their stupor, and they all attacked Naruto at once. Naruto was fast and strong, so he was able to kill 3 of them, but soon he was swarmed and the men started to beat and stab him, causing him to shout out with pain. Kakuza had to give the boy credit, he was good. To be able to fight off fully grown bandits at the age of 8 even with ninja training said a lot about someone, but this kid, even though fast and strong, didn't seem to have ninja training and was able to kill 5 of them by himself. Well, the kid did pretty good, but he won't survive this, spoke Kakuzu as he went to get up, but then he felt a spike in chakra and looked back at where the boy was still getting the crap beat out of him. Many people would think that being immortal would rock because nobody could defeat you and you could go on to be this ultimate ninja, but those people were ignorant and knew nothing about what it felt like to be stabbed by a katana in the hip. Pain was pain regardless if it could kill you or not, and there were many things worse than death. As Naruto lay there getting poked and prodded by knives, swords, spears, and other things, though they only did minimal damage because of how durable Naruto now was, Naruto felt his inner rage starting to build up, and he felt power coming from it. When Naruto felt the power flow through his body, he quickly stood up and knocked those idiots away from him. Naruto quickly picked up his katana and in the blink of an eye he was gone, only to reappear with his sword hilt deep against the fat man's skull. Naruto quickly ripped his sword out of the man's head and rushed over to a tall lanky man with a naginata. Naruto cut the man in half at the knees so he fell to the ground where Naruto could cut his head in half. Naruto continued to kill the bandits with sickening joy and brutal efficiency. When he was done he was panting from the power that had rushed into him from his stomach, and when it was gone he felt weak. Bet you guys don't try and jump me again, spoke Naruto as he tossed the katana at the dead man he took it from and started to walk away. After about 4 steps a giant man with weird eyes and a forehead protector landed in front of him. Maybe I shouldn't have thrown that katana away, spoke Naruto as he started to slowly back away from the man towards his sword. The man didn't even seem to care, which surprised Naruto. When Kakuza saw the small boy all of a sudden get some kind of adrenaline-fueled burst of energy, he was surprised and enjoyed watching him kill those weakling bandits with joy. But what really interested him was that the boy only had minimal damage after those men continuously hit him with their weapons and they were even visibly healing now. How were you able to do that, boy, asked Kakuzu as he ignored the boy's comment and the fact that he was inching towards the sword that he so carelessly threw away. I don't know, I just felt a burst of energy when I got mad, spoke Naruto as his fingers clasped around the sword and he picked it up, never taking his eyes off of the large man. And your wounds, how are they healing so fast, asked the man as he watched as even the worst wound Naruto had sustained had already healed and left no visible scarring or other marking. I am an Uzumaki and I have always had a strong healing factor, but after some crazy ritual a white-haired man did to me, my healing ability has increased further. It is also why my hair is silver and my eyes are purple, spoke Naruto as he held the katana in front of him preparing for anything. He knew the man was a missing ninja, and besides the fact he couldn't die, he stood no chance against this guy. Interesting, I haven't seen an Uzumaki since they were supposedly all killed in the Second Great Shinobi World War, spoke the man as he looked off into the distance, as if he remembered it as it happened. Naruto got the funny feeling this guy was older than he thought. Yeah, well, my village didn't want me to know. For some reason they thought it was funny that I never found out, but I am not stupid, so I found out for myself. This little immortality jutsu that silver-haired man spoke of is just a bonus, spoke Naruto as he hoped that the fact that he was immortal would dissuade the man from trying to kill him, since it was pointless, though Naruto didn't want to mention he could still feel pain. There is no such thing as immortality in this world, spoke Kakuzu, not liking it when people spoke of him being immortal or others searching for immortality. It was one of the main reasons he never liked Orochimaru. How true, anyone can die, it is just figuring out how, spoke Naruto as he kept his eye on the giant of a man. What are you going to do now, asked Kakuzu, not really knowing why he did it. I don't know, probably look around to see if there was a reward for killing these idiots in the neighboring villages, then after that I don't know. I don't really have a purpose beside my freedom, spoke Naruto, sounding a little bit uncomfortable saying that out loud. While he didn't have a goal, he did somewhat have a purpose. He would enjoy every moment he was away from Konoha, that was the truth. How would you like to learn to become a ninja and a bounty hunter, asked Kakuzu, finding the kid's immunity to normal means of death intriguing. It would be nice having someone to watch his back and not have to worry about them dying, him killing them, aging, or receiving some crippling injury that would keep them from continuing being a ninja. After all, he couldn't have some retired ninja knowing anything about him, and he didn't really like the idea of having to kill a partner every time they outlived their usefulness. Naruto was shocked, but not unhappy. He had always wanted to be a ninja, so learning from this guy sounded like a great idea. Yeah, so are you going to make me your apprentice, asked Naruto with a grin on his face. He wasn't expecting to be punched so hard his head formed a crater on the ground. Don't get cocky, brat, spoke Kakuzu, and watched as the boy pried himself out of the hole he had created. So he really does have immunity to regular means of death, but there has to be a catch, even he admitted to being able to be killed. This could be interesting, thought Kakuzu as he watched Naruto's body heal. You seem to have a good deal of durability, spoke Kakuzu as he remembered the feeling in his hand when he had punched Naruto, but then he shrugged his shoulders and began to walk away. Hey, just because that didn't kill doesn't mean it didn't hurt, shouted Naruto as he ran to catch up with the giant man. Good, pain tells you when something is wrong. Without it you could be walking around missing an arm and not even know it, spoke Kakuzu as he walked towards a certain village that owed him some money. He hated even spending money, but this boy was an investment, and he would pay him back triple what he made him spend. Yeah, but that doesn't mean you have to use me to create a freaking crater, shouted Naruto as he ran to catch up with Kakuzu. Deal with it, was all Kakuzu said as he continued to walk. Oh, you are going to be fun being around, spoke Naruto sarcastically as he continued to follow Kakuzu. Naruto and Kakuzu walked in silence, which was really annoying to Naruto as they walked through one of the smaller nations and between 3 of 5 great elemental nations. Kakuzu wouldn't say why they were in this country, only that there was a group inside of that owed him a favor, something that he planned on cashing in. Naruto didn't know what that meant, but he felt bad for whatever group had to suffer the giant's wrath, something that had happened to him multiple times along the way here. The country they were in had its own hidden village, which was actually quite famous. It was known as the village hidden by rain, or the Hidden Rain Village. Naruto knew a bit about it because the Hokage had told him some stories about a man so powerful that he was able to wipe out an entire shinobi platoon from Konoha all by himself that led that hidden village. The country itself was called the Land of Rain, which was probably why the Hidden Rain Village got its name, but unlike the stories of the place the village got its name, the areas that they had been walking through only had sporadic rainfall. It was odd really, rainstorms would form in a moment's notice only to rain for about 60 seconds and then disappear, then reappear 10 minutes later and do it all again, only this time it would either be longer or shorter. The only time it did rain, it poured. It took almost 24 hours for it to stop raining, something that Kakuzu punished Naruto for griping about too much. The foliage was odd to say the least. The trees were oddly shaped with roots sticking out of the ground and then arching up only to go back down into the ground. Kakuzu had been kind enough to tell him a few things before playing guide to an ignorant idiot started to get on his nerves. Naruto also noticed a lot of fungi that grew all over the place. Kakuzu had mentioned that many of the fungi made excellent poisons, and that many of the rain ninja used them to poison their weapons. Hey, Kakuzu, shouted Naruto, making sure he was out of arm's reach. The man had the oddest temper. One moment he would okay with answering questions, the next he would rather try and kill you than even speak. What, responded Kakuzu in an annoyed tone that made Naruto thankful he was out of arm's reach. He had to admit the boy wasn't stupid, though he hadn't learned to shut up. He had learned to stay out of his initial arm's reach, though the boy didn't know just how far he could reach. How much longer until we get to wherever it is you are taking us, spoke Naruto, getting tired of walking. They hadn't stopped walking for the past 2 days without sleeping and he was getting very agitated. They had been walking for a week and Kakuzu still refused to tell him where they were going. Didn't I tell you to shut up, spoke Kakuzu, starting to regret taking the kid with him. Sure, he couldn't die, but was living the rest of eternity with someone who constantly annoyed you really worth only having that person around just to watch your back? Yeah, you did, but let me remind you about this. I didn't ask for this training, you offered it. You also took half of my money from the bounty on those bandits, and you haven't even feed me. You keep saying I have to pay for myself. Well, if this place is an iron country, then I won't last, cause I am starting to run low on money, spoke Naruto. But then he was shocked when Kakuzu turned around, and then his arm shot out of his arm and reached out only to grab him by the throat. After that he reeled him in with an iron hold on Naruto's throat, even as Naruto did everything in his power to get away. Listen here, you little brat, you are really starting to work my nerves. So unless you want to know what all of your organs look like as I rip them out, I suggest you shut up, shouted Kakuzu as he threw Naruto into a tree, causing him to cough up blood and slowly stand to his feet. Naruto nodded his head weakly, which caused Kakuzu to grunt and begin walking again. Jerk, spoke Naruto under his breath, but his blood ran cold when Kakuzu stopped and looked back at him with those cruel eyes. Naruto was sure he was going to start beating the crap out of him. Did you say something? Asked Kakuzu in a deadly tone that caused Naruto to back up even more. He had to keep telling himself that Naruto was just a boy and that it was natural for boys to act out, but if the boy wanted to be a real ninja, then he would need to grow up. What, me? No, I didn't say anything, spoke Naruto as he waved his hands in front of his face frantically. He saw Kakuzu give him that look that said he didn't believe him, but turn around soon after and stalk off. Naruto let out a sigh, but quickly ran to catch up with Kakuzu. Normally Naruto wouldn't take this type of crap, well, not really. He never really took anyone's crap. But since he was used in that ritual, he had been even more violent than he had even been, which caused him to get in quite a lot of fights while on the road. Naruto had killed quite a few bandits, samurai, and other low lives that thought they could either abuse their power or rob him. None of them ended well for Naruto's opponents. The only reason Naruto was taking this crap was because he knew he really wanted to be a shinobi. He wanted to honor his ancestors by continuing their legacy, but in his own way. If the world thought they could just get rid of the Uzumaki like that, then they had another thing coming. Naruto had come to the conclusion that he would become a living memory of the Uzumaki, and a nightmare to all of those he came across, but to do this he needed power, ninja power. Kakuzu was strong, Naruto could tell that with ease. His undeveloped sensory abilities that were tied in with his instincts told him that much, plus all the ass-whooping he had gotten as well. If Kakuzu could train Naruto up to his level, then not only would Naruto have the skills of a powerful ninja, but he would also have his Uzumaki abilities, and be immortal. That was sure to make him quite the adversary. Though he was sure that one day someone would be able to kill him, but until that time he would make sure the Uzumaki were never forgotten. Naruto also wanted to be a shinobi because he wanted to be powerful as well. All of his life he had been weak. It was something that he was willing to do anything to change. Naruto was going to get strong and then help others like him who had been forced to suffer under the oppression of their villages. Or just make a lot of money and cause lots of damage. Both had their merits. We are here, spoke Kakuzu, snapping Naruto out of his inner thoughts, as he walked up some steps onto a giant porch. It has a truly magnificent Japanese-styled castle that looked like it could host a daimyo or protect the inhabitants from a full-on invasion. It had one giant tower in the center of the castle that looked over the surrounding area, standing high in the air on a giant stone slab with high walls and places for archers to stand. There was countless windows with wooden guards around them, and the room was completely tiled, which gave it a nice look. The castle was a light gray color with some white in it for a backsplash color. Wow, spoke Naruto as he continued to examine the giant building. How do you know these people? Asked Naruto as he watched as people looked out of the window at them, while others stood on the roof looking down at them with kunai or other weapons in their hands. Naruto was quickly realizing that this might be a clan compound. Don't worry about it, all you need to know is that they owe me a favor, spoke Kakuzu as his hand turned black and he started to slam it against the giant gate that surrounded the castle from possible intruders. Many of the ninja were looking down on them, ready to strike, but Naruto wondered why they didn't. Ah, Kakuzu, I haven't seen you in 30 years, came an old voice from behind Naruto. Naruto quickly turned around and saw an old woman standing behind him with her eyes squinted so close together that Naruto was amazed she could even see. Yes, you were recently married at the time, though that is not why I came here, spoke Kakuzu as he turned around. His arm had gone back to the regular fleshy color of his skin, and he looked at the woman with that same scary look, but the old woman didn't falter at all. I could have guessed that, Kakuzu, though the boy is a surprise. I never took you for the type to indulge in such things, though I figured you were at least smart enough to protect yourself from something like this, spoke the woman with a small smile on her face. Naruto was shocked that this woman was actually talking to the short-fused Kakuzu this way, and he was also a little disturbed. This woman thought that he was Kakuzu's son. He is not my son, you senile old woman, shouted Kakuzu, his temper getting the better of him, though when the woman began to laugh his anger started to bubble up again. This woman had always known just the right buttons to push to make him angry yet not kill her. I see you still haven't gotten over your little anger problem. Makes me surprised that the boy is even alive. So tell me, Kakuzu, Why did you come all the way out here to the heart of the Fuma clan with this charming young man? Asked Mai as she looked from Kakuzu to the boy and then back again. She found the boy's appearance to be strange, but this was the ninja world, so anything was possible. There must have been something interesting about him to make Kakuzu come all the way out here just to talk to her about him. I came here to have you repay your debt to me, spoke Kakuzu as he looked at the woman. Naruto was shocked when the old woman opened her eyes about halfway and milky white eyes looked up at Kakuzu. She didn't radiate killing intent. No, this was much different, and much worse. It was like the air had become stale all of a sudden because of this woman. Naruto was now sure she wasn't someone to cross. You know I won't house someone you kidnapped, spoke Mai as she looked over at Kakuzu, ready for him to strike for being double-crossed. But they both knew she was ready, it was in her eyes. She watched as Kakuzu scoffed at her, which caused her to raise an eyebrow. I do want you to house him, but I didn't kidnap him. I want you to train him to become a strong ninja so that he can be of use to me. He said he wanted to be a ninja, and I need a partner just in case I run into a ninja that I cannot defeat alone, so you are going to train him to an acceptable level before I take over his training and start teaching him how to be a bounty hunter, spoke Kakuzu as he looked over at all the ninja of the Fuma clan. They were a powerful clan here in Rain Country with lots of unique techniques, but a faction had left some time ago and settled in the land of rice paddies. From what Kakuzu knew, they hadn't been doing so well and had fallen on hard times. You ask a lot of us, Kakuzu. You ask us to take in a stranger, to train him in our ways, just so you can make use of his talents afterwards. I remind you that although we do owe you, it was you who refused payment, and opted for a favor instead. Why should we teach the boy, possibly our secret clan techniques, with no guarantee that they will not fall into another nation or clan's hands? Asked Mai as she looked over at Kakuzu, whose eyes were sharp as a blade, and his chakra was rising. She wasn't stupid, far from it in fact. She knew a great deal about Kakuzu from her ancestors. When Kakuzu was falsely imprisoned and stole Takigekyu's forbidden jutsu, he was on death's door, and may have died if the head of the Fuma clan at the time hadn't had him treated. He didn't act like it, and oftentimes acted like he didn't realize or acknowledge he owed them a life debt, but she knew that he did. Not too long ago they had been in a jam that threatened to severely weaken the power of the Fuma clan, but Kakuzu had helped them push back this threat and saved them a great deal of power, face, and members. He knew it wouldn't erase the debt he owed to their clan, but it had lessened it. Now it seemed he wanted to cash in on his moment of partial kindness. Clever man Kakuzu was, though very difficult to read. She wondered why he was coming to them for such a thing. He could obviously train the boy himself, so why add on to his own debt while trying to save face by saying that they were the one that owed him? Before Kakuzu could say anything, Naruto cut across him, which really pissed him off. I know that taking me in is a big risk to your clan, but I promise that I will take every precaution to make sure your secrets are kept safe from outsiders. If you let me join your clan, then I promise that as a member I will always come to my clan's aid when they truly need me, spoke Naruto, making Mai smile and Kakuzu frown. Naruto was willing to tie himself to a clan if it meant gaining power, even if it did mean he would lose a bit of freedom. Well then, welcome boy to the Fuma clan, spoke Mai, which caused Naruto to quickly envelope her in a hug which surprised her and pissed Kakuzu off. Kakuzu didn't like acts of weakness, but Mai thought the boy really was too good to be hanging around a hard ass like Kakuzu, but didn't say anything about it. I expect him to at least be able to kill like a professional by the time I get back, and I am not talking about Genin, spoke Kakuzu as he looked at Mai. Work him like an animal if you want, it isn't like it will kill him anyways, spoke Kakuzu as he walked up to them. Kakuzu, you know how overworking the body causes irreversible damage that will only hurt a ninja in the long run, spoke Mai as she gave Kakuzu a hard look that Kakuzu easily ignored. He walked up to Naruto, which caused Naruto to look at him funny. That would be relevant if the boy was a regular human, but like me he is special. He is an Uzumaki after all, spoke Kakuzu, getting a gasp from Mai, but not like the gasp she let out when Kakuzu hardened his hand and shoved it through Naruto's chest, burying his hand wrist deep. Kakuzu, how could you kill the boy like this, demanded Mai as she looked at how Kakuzu didn't even flinch when he killed the boy who he had gone through all of the trouble of bringing before them, asking them for training yet to only kill him at the finish line. Be quiet, like I said he is special, spoke Kakuzu as he let his jutsu go, returning his hand to the tan color it was before he had hardened it. Mai looked at Kakuzu like he was crazy, but he just pointed at Naruto. Fuck, that hurt Kakuzu, you fucking bastard, shouted Naruto, getting gasps of shock from everyone who was watching them. Mai couldn't believe the boy was alive. Even the Uzumaki healing factor shouldn't be able to save him from that. As you can see, the boy can't die. Apparently some nut used a weird ritual to give him a form of immortality when he was asleep in his home. Now normal things that kill people have no effect on him, spoke Kakuzu, seeing the shocked look in Mai's eyes, and a grin formed on his face. When Mai heard of this, her mind started to race with possibilities, especially for one of the jutsu their clan had invented, that Naruto could use with great results. No effect, shouted Naruto as he stood up. The hole in his chest where Kakuzu ran him through was almost closed up and was still healing at a rate that was actually visible to those that saw it. I call the pain that it causes an effect, and trust me, it isn't my favorite effect for sure, shouted Naruto as he started to rub the area where Kakuzu had tried to kill him again. He was really going to have to thank that silver-haired guy for giving him this immortality, because without it he would have died a long time ago. Yes, I can see how the boy would benefit from some of our clan's techniques, especially one in particular that is also a kenjutsu that results in death. But I figure the boy won't be in any danger of dying, laughed the woman, which really annoyed Naruto. Did people really think that just because he couldn't die the mundane way that it was okay to torture him just to demonstrate that he couldn't die? Good, but don't neglect his physical training either while you teach him whatever ninjutsu you plan on teaching him. I don't want the boy knowing any fancy techniques or flashy fighting styles, just powerful efficient jutsu with a strong/fast taijutsu style. Whatever you want to do about any other skills is up to you, just remember that although he feels pain, doesn't mean he isn't benefiting from the training, spoke Kakuzu as he turned around and started to walk off. Naruto wanted to call him a dick, but he didn't want to going away as whopping in front of his new clan. That would be way too embarrassing. I am the teacher here, Kakuzu, don't forget that. If you want to decide what the boy learns, then you teach him, but if you want me to teach him, then you will just have to be satisfied with whatever job I do, spoke Mai as she smirked in Kakuzu's direction. She watched as Kakuzu turned around and glared at her, but she didn't lose that smirk. Kakuzu was the type to want to always get in the last word, so she liked to ruin it for him. So Naruto, tell me, how long have you been with Kakuzu, asked Mai as she looked down at Naruto, who was watching Kakuzu leave with a sad look on his face. The boy must have cared about Kakuzu for some reason, not that she could fathom why, but that was his ordeal, not hers. Just a week, but he offered to help me become a ninja, something that I always wanted to be, but was always held back, spoke Naruto as he looked back at Mai as she rested a hand on his shoulder. He tensed a bit, but soon he relaxed and looked up at her. Now Naruto, Kakuzu wants us to train you, and you want to join our clan, but you are an Uzumaki and I can see it in your eyes that you have a lot of pride in your clan. I can respect that, so I won't try and make you choose between our clan and the training or your clan and the feeling you have for it. You want to be a Fuma ninja, well then how about you become Naruto Fuma Uzumaki, as I can guess you don't have a middle name, most ninja don't anyways, spoke Mai as she looked down at Naruto. This boy was an indispensable commodity to their clan. If they had an immortal ninja as powerful as Kakuzu in their clan, then they would be able to breathe a bit easier. The ninja world wasn't a certain place, which is why they needed strong ninja to fight off their enemies while they promoted smart ninja to come up with unique and powerful ninja when they were at home. Thanks, Lady Fuma, spoke Naruto as he bowed his head a bit. The woman smiled down at him, which caused Naruto to smile even more. This woman seemed so nice, but Naruto kept in mind that she had had dealing with Kakuzu and was the head of a ninja clan, which meant that she must have been very deadly. Please Naruto, just call me Mai, everyone does, even if they don't like it, laughed the woman as she placed a hand over her mouth. Naruto laughed a bit as well, but wondered if that was a threat, or just a fact. Okay, Mai-san, so when can the training begin, asked Naruto as he looked up at all of the ninja looking down on him. He noticed most of them had forest green hair and very dark blue eyes. He wondered if, like the Uzumaki, it was a clan thing. Oh, you are already ready to begin training, even after what I am sure was a very long walk with Kakuzu, spoke Mai as she placed a hand on her face like she was surprised, but Naruto knew she wasn't. This woman liked these mind games, it seemed, but the way Kakuzu and she had acted told Naruto that she was anything but clueless. Yeah, I have always had a lot of stamina and a good deal of strength, even before the changes, spoke Naruto as he used the word changes with distaste. He didn't like the fact that he hadn't been given a choice to have immortality like this, even though he probably would have said yes, but it was the principle that bothered him. Well, it isn't unexpected. The Uzumaki were known for quite a few unique attributes when they were better known before their destruction. I will train you as much as you can take, and then some, so let's get started, spoke Mai as she walked around the large building to an empty training field that the Fuma clan used to practice. This place is very nice, spoke Naruto as he looked around. There was droplets all over the place from the frequent rain that would be great for water ninjutsu. Of course the ground would be compromised because of the water, but you could still use either earth or mud style ninjutsu. Plenty of clear air for wind style. Fire style was made by the ninja themselves, so unless they were underwater, fire release would usually be the same, and lighting release was the same way. There was a big field of low-cut green grass that would be great for anything that needed some room, and the trees would be good for learning to fight when in less spacious places. The trees were also weirdly shaped, which would probably make it even more difficult to train like that, which in the end would only help you once you were done. All in all, it was a good training field. Are you ready, Naruto asked Mai with a kind smile on her face. Give me your best shot, shouted Naruto, completely pumped about getting some ninja training. Okay, you asked for it, spoke Mai, and then this odd aura, like he had just walked into the mouth of the beast, overcame Naruto, causing him to regret what he had said even before he knew why he was regretting it. Let's start off with some compound exercises, spoke Mai as an evil glint entered her eyes that caused Naruto to gulp. Naruto soon fell into his bed that he had been given by the Fuma clan along with the room and all of the things inside of it. The bed was a simple full bed size that comfortably allowed a fully grown adult sleep on it, or two small people about Naruto's size, so this was really nice for Naruto. The room was really nice as well, with a large symbol of the Fuma clan plastered on one wall in dark black with the rest of the room being a deep green color. There was a desk in the room that was a good size with 8 drawers for whatever he wanted to put in them. On the wall was a dresser with a large vanity mirror on it for getting dressed, and was made from some nice wood. Everything else was nice, but not really worth mentioning. As Naruto lay there, he felt as his muscles screamed out to him about the pain they were in. Even with his healing factor, his body was only barely able to keep up with the rigorous training that Mai had put him through, though most of it was just testing to see where he excelled and where he failed completely. The only thing she told him about the results was that she still needed to add them up, and when she did, she would get back to him about it. Dear God, I hope every day isn't like this, spoke Naruto as he tried to roll over, but the pain in his back was too much. Maybe not, spoke Naruto as he turned his head to get comfortable. He wouldn't have thought the little old lady Mai could be such a slave driver. Kakuzu was walking through the land of rivers looking for his newest bounty. Without Naruto slowing him down, he could moor at a real speed that wasn't as slow as possible. The land of rivers was like the runoff of the land of rain, causing deep rivers, streams, marshes, and any other body of water that water could create inside of the smaller country. It really wasn't the ideal place to search for someone since they could hide almost anywhere. That brat had better not waste Mai's time, or he will regret it. She may appear to be a frail old woman, but she is anything but. She is a demon unlike any other, spoke Kakuzu more to himself than to the man steering the boat he was on. Kakuzu didn't expect Naruto to become an S-ranked ninja in the next 3 years, far from it in fact, but he figured being around ninja like Mai, and the Fuma clan, would wise the boy up and beat any childish notions out of him so that he wouldn't have to. They also had a plethora of interesting techniques that you wouldn't be able to find anywhere else in the world. There was another reason Kakuzu had decided to take Naruto with him. When he found out the boy was a part of the Uzumaki clan, he knew he had to have him. The Uzumaki were known as the best trackers in the world, having a unique sensory ability that they referred to as the third eye of the Kagura that allowed them to sense people from miles around, and so many other things. With an ability like that, he would no longer have to worry about looking for idiots in some god-forsaken swamp. When Kakuzu got off the small boat, he reluctantly paid the man that drove him there, and began to walk towards a small town in the backwoods of this place. As he was walking, someone or something started to grow out of the ground, looking like some kind of giant Venus flytrap, until a face that was black on one side and white on the other side of it. Just what the hell are you? Asked Kakuzu as he looked over at the strange person, maybe creature, with hard eyes that made the man think smile. Kakuzu was thinking about just toasting this thing with a fire jutsu, but the man started to talk before he could start. Kakuzu, we presume, spoke Setsu as he looked over at the powerful S-rank Nuke Nin who was standing across from him with a smile on his white side of his face. Who is asking? Spoke Kakuzu. He would need to find out who knew about him and eliminate them so that his name didn't spread too much. Some Nuke Nin went around parading their skills or accomplishments, but they never lasted more than a couple of years. Kakuzu liked staying hidden in the shadows and killing without too many people knowing it was him. We represent a group known as the Akatsuki who wish to extend you a membership to join this exclusive group of fellow S-rank Nuke Nin, spoke Setsu as he stuck out his hand theatrically like Kakuzu would actually take it. What would be the purpose of me joining this Akatsuki? Asked Kakuzu, wondering what sway and money a group of S-ranked ninja had. It would be foolish to just ignore them, especially if they tried to eliminate him if they felt insulted. To make money, of course, spoke the plant man, playing on Kakuzu's love of the commodity. Kakuzu thought about it, and had to admit it sounded like a really good idea, but he already had an investment in Naruto which he was going to cash in on in 3 years or so. Maybe they would let him join for a few years then leave when he was done. I already have some things going on that will be put into place in 3 to 4 years. If I join, will I be able to leave without this organization of yours chasing after me when my other investment has come to fruition? Asked Kakuzu, staring at the plant creature, but not trusting it at all. There was insanity in its eyes, and that wasn't something you wanted to put your trust in, especially when it was your life or money that was on the line. Leader-sama says that it's alright, so long as you never tell anyone about our organization once you leave, spoke Setsu as he communicated telepathically with Pain. Sounds like a plan, spoke Kakuzu as he looked the plant man. Welcome to the Akatsuki, Kakuzu spoke Setsu as he handed Kakuzu a ring that he quickly slipped onto his left middle finger. He looked at it, and saw it had the kanji 4 north on it, but just shrugged his shoulders. Let's make some money, spoke Kakuzu as he continued on to find his target. Naruto awoke to a blaring alarm clock that had somehow been placed in his room yesterday without him knowing, or he had been so tired after I put him through the ringer yesterday that he just hadn't noticed it. Naruto didn't really feel like thinking about such things and just slammed the clock with his wrist and smiled when the annoying sound stopped. He quickly pulled the blankets over his head again, determined to get some more sleep. I mean, really, who wakes up at 6 o'clock in the morning when you don't even have a job? Knock, knock, knock came from Naruto's door, which greatly aggravated Naruto. He pulled down his blankets a bit and looked over at the door, hoping that whoever it was had him something to eat. Hey slacker, wake up, Lady Mai said to get ready and meet her out in training ground 5, and that I was to escort you. There came loud feminine voice from behind the door. Naruto thought about just ignoring it, but then thought about what Mai would do to him if he was late and thought better of it. Yeah, I am getting up, keep your pants on, spoke Naruto as he got out of bed and put his pants on. He didn't feel like getting dressed all the way just to talk to whoever it was on the other side of the door, regardless of their standing in the clan. Oh, I will try to contain myself, spoke the voice in a highly sarcastic manner. Naruto shot the door a venomous glare, but then felt stupid for doing it. When he had his pants on, he walked over the cold wood floor to the door and opened it up. Kodohime had long black hair and black eyes, which was in a princess-style cut, and black pupilless eyes. Attire-wise, she wore a pale green form-fitting vest, with an opening in the center which shows off her developing cleavage and her stomach, and a camouflage-patterned scarf and skirt. She has a black belt holding up her skirt. She also wears black shinobi shoes. Naruto thought the girl was cute. She had to be about his age, maybe a little old, but other than that they were about the same. Naruto did notice that she was giving him the one-over as well and stood straight, showing no slouch in his posture, as to give off the best first impression possible. When Kodohime was told that Lady Mai had actually let someone join their clan, she was shocked. The Fuma clan in the Land of Rain was famous and had trained many powerful ninja, so peasants, arrogant noblemen, weak ninja, and a whole plethora of other ninja came to them seeking to be trained, but it was extremely rare that Lady Mai agreed to train them. The only way Lady Mai would train someone would be if they were able to help the clan in some way, or to one day help the clan. The way Lady Mai was smiling and walking around with a happy aura around her made Kodohime shocked. She wondered what purpose this guy would or did serve, and how he got to them. She had asked around, and apparently the kid had gotten the best representative to get him into the clan, the legendary Kakuzu, a powerful nuke ninja that Lady Mia had known for a long time and an extremely powerful ninja that even Lady Mai respected. That was something that shocked Kodohime, and she wanted to know why such great and powerful people had agreed to train this guy who, though somewhat handsome and probably had some skill, didn't look all that special to her. She had rushed over to his room and had gotten there just in time to hear the alarm clock being turned off, and waited for a moment expecting some powerful ninja to walk out of the door. When she heard some rumbling in the bed and then some light breathing, she knew he had went back to bed, so she angrily beat on the door, wondering why this was happening. She really hadn't been expecting such a young boy to open the door, with such exotic features, and no shirt to open the door. She had heard the boy had been tested by Lady Mai, but couldn't find a scratch on the guy. She was starting to think that he was just so good that not even the test was enough to faze him, though from the look of his face and his lithe body that probably wasn't the case. Hello, how may I help you, spoke Naruto as he leaned against his door frame and looked at the girl. She seemed to be caught in her own world as she examined him and was mumbling something under her breath that sounded like calculations. This girl was kind of weird, but Naruto just marked that down to being a ninja thing. Oh, hello, my name is Kodohime and Lady Mai sent me to collect you for today's training, spoke Kodohime as she stuck out her hand towards Naruto. She couldn't believe that she had let her guard down so easily, just because something interesting was happening, and now she felt like an idiot. Oh, hey, my name is Naruto Fuma Uzumaki, newest member of the Fuma clan, and the guy who is about to get tortured again by Mai, again spoke Naruto with dread in his tone as he remembered how Mai had made him run a marathon the other day through forests, swamps, rivers, ponds, bug swarms, thunderstorms, and anything else the weather and terrain could throw at him without slowing down a bit. Yeah, Lady Mai is a slave driver, but she means well. She is probably the main reason the Fuma clan is so powerful here in the Land of Rain. She keeps everyone in line and makes sure we train our hearts out so we can get strong, and then crams various skills and facts into our ears to make us smart, and to help us develop the secret techniques the Fuma clan has been known to create, spoke Kodohime with pride. She had a lot of pride in her clan, and it had become a type of honor to create a new technique amongst their clan. This was a great way for them to gain more power without the need of an outside source, and it kept the members happy and content. Yes, Lady Mai said something about that last night when Kakuzu was dropping me off. She said that there was a few kinjutsu that I would be able to use without the negative backlash that other people would receive. She seems to be really fired up, spoke Naruto, as he remembered her yelling at him for having such horrible chakra control, and that she wasn't sure if he would be able to learn everything that he needed to know by the time Kakuzu got back if they had to spend all of their time fixing his horrible chakra control. The only thing nice about his chakra, she said, was that it was very powerful, he had a ton of it, and it had an odd nature about it. She claimed she would have to look into it more if he wanted to learn more about it. Really? The kinjutsu are very dangerous to use. Lady Mai must really value your skills if she actually wants to teach you one of them. They have been forbidden to us for the most part because a lot of them cause death, injury, pain, or some other cruel effect to the caster, but you must have something special about you that makes you immune to the negative effects of our clan's kinjutsu, spoke Kodohime as she looked at Naruto suspiciously. This guy was odd for sure. He didn't look like he had any real ninja training, just a naturally strong body, but there was no way she was ever going to question Lady Mai. She wasn't ready to die. Well, the Uzumaki clan was known for its healing abilities and other skills, so maybe she believes with these attributes I will be able to use these kinjutsu and not die. I mean, if I heal fast enough, then death shouldn't be able to catch me, right? Spoke Naruto with a forced laugh that Kodohime didn't go with. She kept on eyeing him, but eventually she seemed to give up and sighed loudly. Naruto looked at her, and then thought about something that could change the subject. So are you a ninja? Well, I guess everyone is a ninja in a ninja clan, right? I wouldn't know since I haven't ever been a part of a clan or even in a clan compound before, spoke Naruto, as he watched this light seem to go off in the girl's eyes. Naruto knew that he had succeeded in his mission and felt proud of himself. Of course I am a ninja, though I am still in training like you. My mother was inventing some interesting hair-based ninjutsu before she passed away, so now I am taking over learning and creating my own hair jutsu. I want to make an entire line of hair-based ninjutsu that will be both versatile and powerful for the future of the Fuma clan, spoke Kodohime as she smiled and started to play with her hair. Naruto was surprised since he didn't know that you could use hair in your ninjutsu, but he figured anything was possible with ninjutsu. He wondered what you could do with hair though, since to his knowledge there wasn't much you could do with hair. Well, that is cool, you got to show me how it works sometime. I haven't ever heard of hair-based ninjutsu, but I bet it is really cool, spoke Naruto, who was instantly face to face with Kodohime, who had moved in way too close for Naruto's comfort. Her eyes were sparkling and her smile was radiating happiness and joy as she stared into Naruto's purple eyes. Really, you think my mother and I's hair jutsu are cool? A lot of people say that to be nice, but I know that they are just being nice because everyone in the Fuma clan are like family. But for the new guy to say it really gives me hope, spoke Kodohime as she started to drag Naruto to where Lady Mai was. She was going to show Naruto just how amazing her hair ninjutsu was so that he wouldn't have any doubts in his mind about how effective they could be. Naruto didn't know what was going on. One moment she was kind of distant from his snooping around his business, but the next she starts talking about some kind of hair jutsu or other and started to drag him down the hallways very quickly. The girl had some strength in those arms of hers, and if Naruto had to guess, he would probably say that it was because of how focused she was on her goal. She seemed to have a somewhat one-track mind that caused her to ignore the people who were looking at them, or the people who tried to talk to her. Eventually Kodohime dragged Naruto out of the Fuma clan compound and into the open forest where Lady Mai was standing, giving them a warm smile on her old face. Naruto thought he was looking at a monster in human skin, because when she was training him it was like he was being tortured with the intended purpose of getting him stronger. I am glad you finally made it. I was worried I would have to come get you out of bed myself, spoke Mai with a gentle and warm smile on her face, though to Naruto it might as well have been a cold glare from the icy aura that was around her. Mai was wearing a dark green kimono with a white sash and white flowers on it. Her long faint green hair that was slowly turning gray reached all the way down to her lower back, but was held together by a ponytail, though a few strands of hair did fall in her face. Her shoes were a deep black color and her skin was a bit wrinkly. But other than that she did seem to have kept a fair deal of her womanly charms, as her assets didn't seem to be sagging at all. Ha ha ha, well, sorry about that, Mai. It won't happen again, spoke Naruto as he raised his hands defensively to hope for mercy. He was happy when Kodohime started to vouch for him, since he wasn't sure if he would be able to survive another training session like the one yesterday, even with his supposed immortal body. It is not his fault, Lady Mai. I kept him longer than I should have talking to him. I was just so curious about him that I let it get in the way of my mission, spoke Kodohime as she bowed her head to Mai. Naruto was surprised, but didn't say anything, but Mai didn't seem to mind and nodded her head in forgiveness. It is okay, Kodo-chan. I just wanted to tell Naruto I forgot to check his elemental affinity the other day, and would like to do it now before his new training schedule is put into place, spoke Mai as she patted Kodohime on the head and smiled at her. Kodoheim smiled back and stood up straight and tall for the world to see how happy she was. She was actually bouncing on the heels of her feet as she stood there. Thank you, Lady Mai, you are too kind, spoke Kodoheim, but Naruto was thinking something a little bit different than her. Naruto did say that my hair techniques were interesting as well, spoke Kodoheim, more to herself than anyone else, but Naruto and Mai did hear her. Oh, quit the slick one, aren't you, spoke Mai as she elbowed Naruto a bit, which caused him to blush. Play on a girl's hobbies to get close to her, then move in for the kill. I knew you had potential, spoke Mai with a smile on her face, though she hid it with her hand like a lady should. Kodoheim and Naruto were both blushing up a storm, but they were able to come out of it when they heard Lady Mai laughing at them. Why don't you show him some of your skills with your mother's hair techniques, spoke Mai as she pointed towards a dummy that was a fair distance away. Kodoheim looked excited and ran in front of Naruto and Mai right before she started to go through some hand signs. Senbon Needle, shouted Kodoheim as her hair hardened and started to just out in random direction. After a moment the hairs started to shoot out towards the dummy quickly before impaling it and the ground around it. The hairs went in pretty deep, showing they had a good deal of power to them, and they were so fat that Naruto had to give credit to someone able to dodge all of them. Wow, Kodoheim, that was amazing, shouted Naruto as he walked over to her. Her hair was starting to turn back to its original shape and size, so Naruto was sure he was safe from being stabbed on accident. I bet whatever else you come up with will be just as awesome as that technique, and that all kinds of people will be trying to mimic you when you become a big name, spoke Naruto as he continued to eye the damage done to the dummy. He honestly could say that Kodoheim was stronger than him right now, but he was sure that one day he would surpass her. Thanks, Naruto. It really means a lot that you think so much of my technique, spoke Kodoheim, though the small freckles of a blush went unnoticed by Naruto, but not by Mai, who giggled a bit. She saw something forming here, but didn't say anything because it could ruin whatever it possibly was. Anyways, back to the topic at hand. This Naruto is chakra paper. If you channel your chakra through it, you can find out what your natural elemental affinity is, spoke Mai as she handed Naruto a square piece of paper that didn't look all that special to him. Now, Naruto, remember that all of the elements have another element that they are strong against, and another one that they are weak against. Fire beats wind, wind beats lightning beats earth, earth beats water, and water beats fire. This means that there is no one superior element which keeps things balanced, spoke Mai as she watched Naruto channel chakra through the piece of paper. She and Kodoheim were surprised by what happened next. Naruto was happy to learn about elemental manipulation and started to channel his chakra through it. He watched as the paper split in half and one of the sides turned to dust. Naruto didn't get why Kodoheim and Mai were looking at him like that, or why the paper had reacted the way that it did, but he figured they would say something about it eventually. Naruto, you are very lucky. You not only possess two natural elemental affinities, but they are both strong, with neither of them being a minor affinity to the other as well, spoke Mai as she looked at what was left of the chakra paper in Naruto's hand. It was true, one side had turned to dust, which meant he had an earth release affinity, and the paper had split down the middle, meaning he did have a wind release affinity, and neither of them were minor affinities either. Wow, Naruto, you're so lucky, shouted Kodoheim as she looked at Naruto's surprised and slightly confused face. She had to admit the foxy look he got on his face when he was confused was cute, not that she would ever say that out loud. What does that mean? I mean, Kakuza had asked me if I had a bloodline, but I said no and asked him what they were, which he wasn't happy about answering, by the way. Does this mean I have a bloodline? Asked Naruto as he looked at the paper, then Kodoheim, before looking at Mai, who had a look of deep concentration on her face. Naruto was wondering if she was matching him up with a specific clan, or if she was just confused like him. As far as I know, Naruto, there is no elemental bloodline for earth and wind release. If it were an element like earth and water, I would suspect you had the legendary Mokuton bloodline limit, or if you had an earth and lighting element, then I would assume you might have an explosion bloodline limit, though nobody but the clan of those with the bloodline know for sure what the elements entails. If you do have a bloodline, then it is either a new one or one that nobody knows what elements make up that bloodline, spoke Mai as she looked down at Naruto, who had a shocked look on his face, as did Kodoheim. She knew that bloodlines were really cool to young kids, especially boys, but Naruto already had enough on his plate. He could explore the possibilities of a bloodline some other time. That is pretty cool, spoke Naruto as he looked down at the chakra paper with a smile on his face. He felt like his ancestors were blessing him for the path he had chosen. Wow, I wonder what it would be like, spoke Kodoheim as she looked at Naruto with wide eyes. She was getting more and more curious about Naruto by the minute. Enough of that, Naruto, I know this possible bloodline interests you, but you are still a beginner at best. You need to work on the basics first, and maybe when you are older you can try and figure out what these two elements mean. It is possible that you were just born with two elemental affinities, spoke Mai as she took the last bit of the chakra paper from Naruto and crumbled it up before dropping it. Naruto looked somewhat upset, but got over it, and Kodoheim looked like someone took away a new toy. Yes, ma'am, spoke Naruto as he pushed the thoughts of having a bloodline out of his head. He already had to deal with a kinjutsu that he still had mixed feeling about. He had to basically start from the very bottom of the ninja food chain and work his way up. And then of course there were the secret techniques of the Fuma clan that Mai seemed keen on teaching him. Good, now let's begin, spoke Mai as she got rid of Kodoheim, and then got to work training Naruto. For the next year Mai beat Naruto over the head repeatedly trying to make the ninja arts sink into his thick skull. She had decided to keep his learning range wide, but concentrate mostly on his overall physical abilities, so that he didn't have to rely on his immortality so much. She had Naruto doing mostly compound exercises designed to give Naruto strength, endurance, and speed where it mattered, and not just bulky muscles that would get in the way while he was fighting for his life. She made him do a lot of calisthenics as well to keep him limber and to build on his already good dexterity and overall movements. She said that Naruto had good endurance, and she meant it. The boy was a natural powerhouse just waiting to be sculpted into the perfect killing machine. He just needed the right guidance and time. The most tedious of Naruto's training by far was chakra control. With his ridiculous chakra reserves, Naruto had a hard time learning chakra control to the level that Mai found acceptable, since even chakra control exercises that were meant to give people certain control over their chakra only gave Naruto a limited amount of control because his reserves were so large. This meant that Naruto, or more like Mai, had to get creative with the chakra control exercises, so in the end Naruto ended up having to do things like sticking leaves to his body while he walked across water and other things like that. She kept on telling him again and again just how important chakra control was, and that if he wanted to make it in this world he would need more than brute strength like some people. Naruto has suspected she was referring to Kakuzu, but wisely didn't say anything about it. They spent a fair deal of time practicing shuriken jutsu to the point Naruto could use a kunai for hand-to-hand combat with passing efficiency and throw senbon, kunai, and shuriken with passing grades as well. Mai had said that shuriken jutsu was important, but training until you hit every target every time was just a waste of time you could be spending learning something new and productive. The thing that Naruto loved the most was learning to harness his wind release. It was soothing, to be honest, even if it was hard as hell. It took Naruto almost the entire year to learn to cut the damn leaf in half with his chakra alone, which only left a few months to learn a few wind jutsu before Mai forced him to move on with their training. Taijutsu was essential to Naruto's training. The style he had been taught was very simple, which meant Naruto got it fairly easy, but repetition was the main ingredient, as Mai had called it, to mastery. The style she taught him was simply yes, but she had told him it was a style that he could build on throughout the years as he got older, making it a style that fit him perfectly, instead of him trying to fit a style meant for someone else completely. Over the year Naruto made two other friends besides Kodoheim. He met a girl named Sasami and another girl named Kajiro. Naruto had been shocked when they had told him that Kajiro was actually a jonin, and a powerful one at that, since she was just a little bit older than he was. Apparently she was the clan genius, though she was shy about it. Sasami had long orange hair that reached to her mid-back, though she always wore a black cap on her head. In Naruto's opinion, she kind of dressed like a dude with the dark green shorts, the sleeveless gray shirt, dark-colored wrist guards, and the brown ninja sandals with long tan socks. She wasn't as developed as Kodoheim, but she was still lovely on the eyes and had a nice fair-skinned complexion. Kajiro was a bit of an oddball. She was about 2 inches shorter than Naruto, with short light blue or maybe green hair that reached the bottom of her neck with 2 long bangs that hung down the sides of her face. When not on mission she usually walked around barefooted, but when she was on duty she wore the standard Fuma clan jonin attire with the hidden rain village forehead protector under her banged forehead. Naruto thought she too was cute, even if she barely had a small A cup going for her. Naruto did learn that Kajiro did know a few of the Fuma clan's kenjutsu and had already mastered 2 elements, which caused Naruto to be slightly jealous, but also caused him to work harder to surpass her. Naruto was standing in an empty training ground that was filled with rocks and other things while practicing a new wind-style jutsu. It was being a pain in the ass, but he knew he would be able to get it eventually with enough practice. "Hello Naruto, I see you are still training," spoke Kajiro as she walked out from behind a tree that she had been watching him from for the past few minutes. She had always been amazed by Naruto. His never-give-up attitude had been the force that drove her to train even more, mainly to build up her smaller chakra reserves so that she could use her favorite jutsu more than once. "Hey Kajiro, yeah, I am still training. I still can't get this damn jutsu to work the way I want it to," spoke Naruto as he went through several hand signs before shouting out drilling air bullet, then slamming his stomach hard to cause external pressure. When Naruto did this, his throat expanded a bit before his cheeks did. Finally Naruto opened his mouth and released a powerful ball of air that rushed towards a tree, but right before it got to it the ball of wind began to destabilize and barely caused any damage to the tree when it hit. That is a powerful wind release technique. I am surprised Lady Mai even let you learn it, spoke Kajiro, but then saw the look in Naruto's eyes and knew that she hadn't actually given him permission to take the scroll with that jutsu inside of it. More than likely Naruto saw it, and just took it when nobody was looking. Kajiro sighed, knowing that if Naruto was caught he would have to suffer through Lady Mai's remedial training, something that was worse than death. Up until now Naruto had only been allowed to learn a handful of C-rank jutsu, so of course trying to learn a powerful A-rank jutsu would be difficult. Well, what she doesn't know won't hurt her, spoke Naruto as he rubbed the back of his head like he always did when he was caught doing something or was just nervous. Kajiro thought it was cute, but never said anything about it. Yes, but if she finds out it will hurt you, spoke Kajiro as she smiled, seeing the scared look in Naruto's eyes. He may be nearly unkillable, but even he knew to fear Lady Mai. She knew how to fix problems, and Naruto was a problem child if there ever was one. He was usually slick about it though. Please don't tell Mai, she might actually find a way to kill me with training alone, spoke Naruto as he got on his knees, grabbed Kajiro's hands, and gave her a look that made Kajiro's heart beat twice as fast. Don't worry Naruto, your secret is safe with me, spoke Kajiro in a shy voice as red dusted her face. When Naruto let her hands go she was a bit disappointed, but didn't say anything and just sat down beside him on a fallen tree he was using as a bench. Hey Naruto, do you think you will really ever leave us, spoke Kajiro in a faraway tone. Naruto looked over at her and felt kind of bad. She had such a sad look on her face as she stared down at her feet that he just wanted to say anything to make her feel better. While I don't think I will always be here, I am sure I will always come back to visit. I am a proud Fuma ninja and I will have to come back to the clan to perform my duties from time to time, or just come back to see my friends. That is until you all die of old age and then I turn all senile and angry like Kakuzu, spoke Naruto as he started to chuckle a bit. He was happy to hear Kajiro start to laugh as well, but his face turned a few shades of red when her hand rested on his. Please come back to see me as much as you can, spoke Kajiro as she rested her head on Naruto's shoulder and sighed a bit. She had a smile of content on her face that made Naruto smile and nod his head. Of course, I will have to come back to see those who mean the most to me, spoke Naruto with red cheeks as he looked away from Kajiro. Kajiro looked at Naruto with a shocked expression, but then she smiled and looked over at the setting sun. It is perfect, she said, little more than a whisper, but Naruto didn't seem to hear her as he was mesmerized by the way the setting sun's rays bounced off of Kajiro, giving her an angelic look. Angels are real, thought Naruto with a smile on his face. Naruto was standing in front of Mai's desk while Mai stared at him. Naruto didn't know why he had been called into Mai's office, but he knew that it must have been serious by the way the messenger had spoken to him. Usually everyone in the Fuma clan was nice and spoke to each other like friends, but this time the man had spoken with a strict business tone that left no room for joking around. Naruto had been worried because he thought that Mai might have found out about him learning that advanced wind jutsu last year since he had been practicing with it non-stop. She must have found out about it from the damage that he had left behind, and the fact that he was one of the only people who used that training ground. Mai had made it clear that he was here to learn and master the basics so that Kakuzu would have a solid foundation to start teaching him whatever it was he was going to teach him. She had not so subtly mentioned that if he fell short of her expectations that she would stop training him, since she didn't train idiots, and if he fell short of Kakuzu's expectations then God have mercy on his soul. Naruto wished he could dedicate all of his time to training, but apparently his lack of an education was a problem. When he had gotten there he could read fairly well, having been taught a bit and picked up the rest, but apparently languages went far deeper than he thought, with periods, commas, exclamation marks, and all of these other symbols that told the reader how they should interpret what they were reading that Naruto hadn't known about. There was also the fact that he only knew the very basics in math, science. His history was okay if you lived in the land of fire, though the rest of his education was a crapshoot. This meant that a lot of his time was hitting the books, instead of the training ground. Naruto had been disappointed, but Mai pointed out that he would regret it if he let a man scam him for even a penny and Kakuzu found out, because they would be partners and if Naruto messed up financially Kakuzu would instantly lose it. Naruto would probably be tied to an anchor and thrown into the ocean with only the crushing abyss to await him. That was a horrifying thought, and it left Naruto with a thirst to learn, so as to not end up fish food. Of course, being in a ninja didn't require advanced calculus, English 12, or the other advanced studies, but still cramming what Naruto needed to know and training that he would need to survive in 3 short years had been anything but a cakewalk. If it hadn't been for Naruto's quick recovery, his high energy reserves, and his immortality, he was sure he would be dead by now. Still, to say that Naruto hadn't been having fun would be a lie. He had made 3 very good friends, and the other members of the Fuma clan treated him with respect and kindness, which really surprised Naruto. He wondered how a clan of killers could be nicer than common villagers, but he forced those thoughts out of his head and went back to what he was doing at the time. Naruto oftentimes spared with Kajuro, Kodohime, or Sasami whenever he could. Kajuro was easily the strongest of them, and usually won their fights, unless she let Naruto win, not that he knew that. Kodohime's hair ninjutsu had really started to blossom, and she had really made her dream of making a powerful yet versatile technique. She could use it for offense, defense, restraint, or just about anything else she wanted it to do. Sasami wasn't much of a fighter and had chosen to learn other ninja arts such as medical ninjutsu, fuinjutsu, and how to use a tanto. Naruto often spared with her to help her get used to using her tanto, because the medical ninja was the first ninja that the enemy targeted when ninja went to war. Naruto, I do not know if you are aware of this, but the Fuma clan marks its members with a tattoo that shows the world their pride in their clan. It is the same as our clan symbol, just a large black shuriken, and it is tattooed on left shoulder of the body. As I am sure you are aware, you do not have this tattoo, spoke Mai as she moved some paperwork out of her way. Unlike many of the great 5 elemental nations, clans could and did take on missions on their own that was not issued to their hidden village, because the clans had not given up their lands when the hidden villages were formed. This gave the smaller clans much more mobility than the ones where were constantly watched and housed in the walls of the great nations, though it was more risque since they were only protected by themselves, and were fewer in number than the ninja villages. The clan head in these situations acted much like the Hokage, but since there was only one clan, no civilians, and not a whole lot of foreigners coming in and out of the village, the head of the clan didn't have to divide his or her power amongst factions that constantly bickered and fought for power. The reason this was done was because no one Kage could manage an entire village all by his or herself without either going insane, possibly dying from overwork, or messing up and the village suffering for it. This allowed for things to be kept simpler, and it also kept the inner house fighting to a minimum. Without the inner house fighting over things like who would be the next clan head, branch and main families, and things like this, the members often spend more time enjoying themselves, training and getting stronger, or Mai's favorite, thinking and inventing new and unique jutsu. Mai did not hide the fact that she was very proud of her clan for their ability and history of making unique jutsu that were unique to their clan. Though it had caused problems before, mainly other nations trying to steal from them or certain snakes trying to charm his way into their clan to control them, they had always been able to repel these acts and keep their secrets to themselves, Mai was proud to say. They were thankful to the Hidden Rain village for allowing them to keep their secrets, and not try and take them from them. Even Hanzo the salamander hadn't tried to force them to give him, or his village, their secrets, and this new governing body had been completely neutral to them, seemingly more interested in something else other than their secrets. Mai could only assume Hanzo hadn't tried to take from them because of how much they had helped in the last war, and this new governing body had left them alone mainly because when Hanzo started to deal with Danzo they had stayed away, not wanting to involve themselves in such a man's schemes. Yeah, I did notice that, but I thought that I would get it whenever I graduated you training. Besides, Kodohime and Sasami don't have the markings, spoke Naruto, remembering Sasami talking about it, and Kodohime mentioning it with annoyance. Naruto had just thought they hadn't received it because they were all too young, though Kajuro had the marking, so maybe they were getting close. The marking is given to a member of the Fuma clan when they have gone through a graduation ceremony in which the member of the clan completes a certain type of mission successfully. I have decided that it is time for you to take such a mission, spoke Mai as she handed Naruto a scroll. It was a normal scroll, tan in color with the title written on the side, and tied up in a black string. Really, what is my mission? Asked Naruto as he undid the scroll and unraveled it. He began to read through the scroll and felt his body going numb. He didn't think he was ready for something like this, but he had a feeling he didn't have much of a choice. In the land of Tea, a man by the name of Kuroku Wagarashi has been making a name for himself as a crime boss. This isn't the part that bothers me. The part that does bother me is that he hired a team from the Hidden Rain village to make sure that his team wins some race called the Todoroki Shrine Race for control of some port. You see, Naruto, the team that was hired is led by a man named Aoi Rokusho who defected from the village hidden in the leaves and joined the village hidden in the rain after stealing the second Hokage's sword. You see, Naruto, I hate Aoi Rokusho with a passion, shouted Mai as she stood up with killing intent rolling off of her body in waves. Even the people's knees outside of her office were buckling from the powerful killing intent, but Naruto had been trained by her for the past 2 years and had formed an immunity to it, mostly. So I am guessing you took this mission to spite whoever it was that hired Aoi, then kill him for hiring him after I make sure that his family loses this race, then kill Aoi and bring you back his head as proof, spoke Naruto, shocked to see Mai this worked up. He couldn't imagine what Aoi had done to piss her off so badly, but he probably didn't want to know. Yes, but you are also to take the sword of the Thunder God from his dead body and bring it back here to me. I want to figure out how it works and see if I can't make similar weapons using that sword as a basis for the new ones. I don't think issuing these weapons out to the rest of the clan would be wise because they would come to rely upon them, but it would be nice to come up with new weapons that were not as powerful as said sword. Once I figure out how it works, you can have it if you like, spoke Mai as she sat back down and took a deep breath before slowly letting it back out. After a minute of doing this, she seemed to have regained her composure and looked back at Naruto with those milky white eyes. Like all Fuma, the requirement to gain the symbol is to complete an assassination mission and prove that you were successful. It has always been this way, as it keeps us in touch with our true ninja heritage. Once you complete this mission, you may wear our symbol with pride, spoke Mai with a smile on her face. Naruto wasn't sure if the smile was because he was going to kill Aoi, or if it was because she was proud of him, but he didn't feel like asking. So when should I leave? Asked Naruto, seeing that this was going to happen one of two ways. The first way, he would do this willingly and do it his way. The other way was he was forced to do it, and would probably end up having to do some kind of punishment session with Mai for not doing as she said. Immediately, the race will begin in 1 month, and I would suggest you don't travel through the land of fire. Kakuzu didn't tell me exactly why you should avoid it, but I do have my suspicions. You should travel south through the land of rivers and take a boat from there to the land of tea. That is all the advice I can give you, the rest is up to you, spoke Mai as she gave Naruto a very serious look. She didn't like sending Naruto away with only 2 years of ninja training so close to a place that Kakuzu had warned her to keep Naruto away from, but she wasn't going to fight clan traditions that she agreed with just to cuddle the boy. So who will be on my team, spoke Naruto, cutting across Mai's thoughts. Naruto assumed that he would be a part of a team and he would just have to be the one that killed Aoi, and the other people, and the rest would be done as a team. Team? What team? Asked Mai, looking at Naruto like he was an idiot. Why would he need a team? They didn't need to prove themselves, only Naruto did, so he wouldn't get nurtured the whole time with a team to watch his back and help him. You know, ninja work in teams, don't they? So shouldn't I be on a team to do this mission? Asked Naruto, not getting why Mai wasn't just telling him what he wanted to know. It wasn't like she expected him to do this on his own. Yes, ninja do work in teams, but you are not an official ninja of the Fuma clan, therefore you do not qualify for a team. This is a solo mission to see what you've got, and if you can take it in the real world without someone holding your hand. If you want to be a ninja, then act like one. A ninja is willing to put his life on the line every time he goes out on a mission, so you need to be prepared to do the same, spoke Mai with finality in her voice. This was nothing compared to what he would be doing with Kakuzu. Kakuzu won't care how strong or weak Naruto is and will take him on any mission he deems worthy so long as the money is right. If Naruto can't take the heat, then he will be left behind. Oh, was all Naruto said as it sunk in that everything was going to be on him. He would have to watch his own back, get his own food, find his own shelter, make all of the plans, everything would be on him, or he would possibly die, should conditions be met. Yes, so hurry up. You wouldn't want to fail your first mission now, would you? Asked Mai as she went back to reading her scrolls, mission reports, and whatever else that was on her desk. Naruto deftly stood up and bowed a bit before leaving Mai's office. Naruto went back to his room and quickly packed up his things. He used small sealing scrolls he could fit into his ninja pouch for safekeeping along with his throwing weapons. He made sure he had plenty of non-perishable foods in case things got dicey, and a few food tablets and blood pills. He also put on his new outfit that Kotohime had gotten for him. Naruto now wore a sleeveless green shirt that hugged his body, showing off much of the muscle definition he had been able to gain from his harsh training over the past 2 years. He wore long dark blue cargo pants that had lots of pockets for his various things. Around his left hand was a special bracelet Sasami had given him that had a seal inside of it that held various medical supplies. It was nice of her because even though she knew he couldn't die and healed fast, she still tried to help where she could. Around his neck, of course, was the necklace the weird man who had made him immortal had left for him. Naruto's ninja sandals were a dark, almost black green, and his feet were wrapped in ninja bandages. Alright, let's do this, spoke Naruto as he looked at a map that he had gotten from the library and looked it over. He found a river that went straight through the land of rivers and stopped next to a port that Naruto was sure had some boats that would take him to the land of tea. Okay, I got this, spoke Naruto as he ran out of the Fuma clan compound down the road towards the land of rivers. He hadn't said goodbye to his friends, because he didn't know what to say, plus he figured the graduation ceremony was sort of a secret from those who hadn't done it because he was sure Kotohime and Sasami hadn't known, but he knew Kajuro had known, and yet she hadn't said anything. Naruto ran through the land of rain at breakneck speeds, trying to make sure he got to the land of tea before the race started. He wanted to get a feel for the land before he started his mission, because he didn't want to miss something that could be a game changer in his mission. Getting through the land of rivers was a pain. The rivers rose and fell almost without worrying, getting the boats stuck or caught in powerful rapids. Naruto wished someone in the country would grow a brain and build a dam to stop off of that nonsense, but then again a dam would destroy much of the natural beauty of the country, so leaving it as is wouldn't be so bad. Finally, Naruto was able to get to a port that had a boat big enough to take him to Nagi Island, the main part of the race. Naruto was going to go to the Madaraoki Shrine and act as a tourist until the runners made it there. He was sure that Aoi would reveal himself on the island of Nagi because it was so far away from the eyes of the government of the Land of Tea. The trip was long and arduous in Naruto's opinion, but he did have fun killing unlucky pirates that thought it was a good idea to try and raid the boat he was on. Naruto wouldn't have figured there would be pirates so close to the Land of Fire, but maybe they hid out in some of the islands and then attacked when they figured they could get away with it. Eventually, though, Naruto landed on Nagi Island and quickly disappeared into the trees, after he had paid the man who had taken him out there. A ninja needed to remain silent, and a guy reporting a ninja in the area because he didn't get paid was just stupid. Naruto had watched the race all the way up to a bridge where a team of genin from the Leaf had been protecting a runaway from the ninja hired by the family Naruto was hired to all but destroy. He had watched them and on more than one occasion had to use a special technique of his clan, the Uzumaki clan, which allowed him to completely hide his chakra. He was thankful that it had worked, but unfortunately when he used that technique he couldn't use chakra, which meant no tree jumping, which made following them difficult. Naruto was starting to get pissed though. He had done everything perfectly so far. He had found incriminating evidence against the Wagarashi family, had made a deal with the city leader to make sure he only arrested the head of the clan after the race, had killed all of the other members of Aoi's team, and had made sure that the other runner for the Wagarashi family wasn't able to continue running, though he hadn't put up much of a fight even though he was supposed to be a ninja, but Aoi had yet to show up. It was really starting to piss Naruto off. Naruto watched as the boy, Idate, ran and watched as he was about to enter the bridge that would take him to the other side of the river when Naruto began to smile. Right as Idate was about to step onto the bridge, a man with green hair appeared out of nowhere and slashed him across the chest, causing electricity to dance across the boy's chest and for the boy to fall down. Soon though, his bodyguards caught up and began talking to the man. "Who is that unyouthful man?" spoke a boy wearing a revealing green leotard that not even a weird hybrid of Mai and Kakuzu could force him to wear. Naruto tried to keep his eyes glued to the kid's giant eyebrows because he was scared of what he may see if he tried to see if the leotard was full body. "I don't know, I haven't ever seen him before," spoke the only girl with two buns in her hair that made her look like a cute panda. She wore pink traditional Chinese clothing and had an abnormal amount of sealing scrolls with her. Naruto just figured she was a budding Fuinjutsu ninja. "Don't worry, his chakra reserves are average Chunin at best," spoke the Hyuga in the group. Naruto didn't want these kids messing with his mission, but he could use them to see how Aoi fought and to build his own battle strategy against him. "I will teach you kids how to speak to your superiors," spoke Aoi as he pulled an umbrella off of his back and threw it into the air. When this happened, Senban started to shoot out of it towards the group of genin, though they were quick to dodge his attacks. The panda girl jumped into the air and shouted child's play before opening up a seal and unleashing a storm of ninja weapons down on the man. When Aoi saw this, all he did was open the umbrella and use it as a shield. The girl landed and looked rather unhappy that her attack hadn't worked. "Don't worry, Tenten," shouted the green boy as he suddenly appeared behind Aoi. He went for a straight punch, but then a weird sound echoed through the air and the green boy went flying backwards with sparks jumping off of his body. "Lee," shouted Tenten as she looked over at her weird friend, though she was relieved when he started to get back up again. She looked at the umbrella and then at the sword, and Naruto could have sworn he saw stars dancing in her eyes. "So that must be the sword of the Thunder God Lord Hokage told us about," spoke the Hyuga as his Byakugan flared to life, and he examined the sword. After a second he seemed to get what he wanted and moved in to strike. "That sword does have some power, but if you can't hit me then you're as good as mine," shouted the boy as he moved in close range to strike the man. He wasn't expecting the sparks to shoot off of the sword and hit him mid-range. "Ah," shouted the Hyuga as he fell to the ground. "Just like a Hyuga to think his eyes can see into the future, and then fail," spoke Aoi as he looked down on the angry Hyuga whose eyes were still active. "I remember a lot about the Hyuga clan. There were lots of them that used to speak with that same high and mighty attitude you do, and they almost always came back dead. They thought that their eyes made them undefeatable on the battlefield, but when faced against an enemy from long range they were easy to wear down and kill. It is sad, really. The great Hyuga clan made weak by their own traditions and foolish notion that their taijutsu style was perfect for any and all purposes," spoke Aoi as he pointed his blade down at the Hyuga. The Hyuga looked like he wanted to reply, but when Aoi raised his sword his eyes went wide. "Hey, I don't care what you do with them, but I have a job to do, so could you wrap this up please?" came a voice from behind Aoi. Aoi quickly spun around and tried to slash at whoever had been able to sneak up behind him, but he was too slow to hit Naruto. "Who are you?" another leaf ninja asked Aoi, seeing that Naruto had no forehead protector. He kept on eyeing Naruto, and Naruto noticed he looked at his shoulder, probably for the Fuma clan tattoo, but once he saw that it wasn't there he seemed to calm down a bit. No, I am not some weak leaf ninja. My name is none of your concern, though you will be interested to know that my sends her regards, spoke Naruto with an evil grin on her face that made Aoi back up a bit. His face went from shock to fear to rage as he picked up his cute little sword and held it in Naruto's direction. So you were sent by the Fuma clan, were you? Well, I will kill you and send your head to the Hormai, shouted Aoi, but he was shocked when Naruto started to laugh at him. He thought that Naruto was laughing at the thought that he could kill him, without knowing Naruto simply couldn't die. I would love to see that, you weakling. When I kill you, I will take your head back to Lady Mai and watch as she turns your skull into an ashtray, spoke Naruto as he pulled out a kunai. He hadn't started learning the flying swallow technique, as Mai had not allowed him to do something like that, which would waste so much of his time, and he had a sneaking suspicion she knew about his other jutsu that he shouldn't know. You won't be able to do anything, because so long as I have the sword of the Thunder God, I am invincible, spoke Aoi as he held the glowing sword in front of him. Naruto had to admit the sword did provide some great benefits, but it didn't seem to be able to cut through people. Either that or Aoi just really sucked at using it. Even the second and first Hokage was killed, and they had real skills, not stolen power that they don't even know how to use, spoke Naruto with a grin on his face. He jumped back a bit as Aoi waved the sword and sparks shot off of it towards him. If that is the best you can do, then killing you will be too easy, spoke Naruto as he continued to dodge the electrical attacks of the sword while throwing kunai and shuriken at Aoi when he wasn't ready. Naruto noticed that the sword seemed to be able to hold onto metal objects, and they either drop them or throw them back, which caused Naruto to stop throwing stuff at him. What happened to killing me would be too easy. All I see you doing is running away, shouted Aoi as he pointed the sword at Naruto and unleashed another blast of electricity. Naruto just smirked and easily dodged it. His acrobatics were really improving as he could dodge stuff in the air to some degree. Stand still, damn it, shouted Aoi as he continued to attack Naruto. He didn't see how this kid was from the Fuma clan, he didn't know any of their secret jutsu, use their signature weapon, nor did he seem to have their symbol, so what was his relationship to them? Yeah, I guess I am getting tired of you, spoke Naruto as he landed in front of Aoi and started to go through hand signs. He filled his lungs up with air and then flexed his stomach as hard as he could. Using chakra, he was able to compress the air even further before holding up the proper hand sign and shouting wind style, air bullet jutsu, and releasing a powerful condensed ball of wind towards Aoi. Is that the best you have, shouted Aoi, seeing the powerful ball of wind coming towards him at high speeds, but with complete confidence in his sword he didn't try and dodge it, though that was smart in a way. Aoi lifted up the sword of the Thunder God and used it to block the powerful wind jutsu. He wasn't expecting it to be so full of chakra yet be so well constructed. He continued trying to slash the wind jutsu in half, but it just wouldn't budge. His heart started to race when cracks started to form in the sword. I won't lose, shouted Aoi as he tried to push even harder, but the wind jutsu just wasn't going to let him do that, and when the blade broke on the sword of the Thunder God, the energy inside of it mixed with the energy inside of the wind jutsu, causing a powerful explosion. When the dust settled, there was only the top portion of Aoi's torso, his head, arms, but the rest of his body was gone. The umbrella he had with him survived and was lying on the ground not too far away, and the sword of the Thunder God was still in Aoi's hand. Well, that takes care of that, spoke Naruto as he pulled out a scroll and laid it next to Aoi's body. It wasn't hard to seal him up, though there was a lot of blood. Naruto felt something stir within him, but he crushed those feelings. They had not helped him when he had been in Konoha, but the Fuma clan had helped him, and had treated him like family. This was his way of life, and feeling sorry for the loser would only get him in a worse situation in the future. Hey, what are you doing? Came a voice from behind Naruto. When he looked back, he saw the shocked look on the three genins' faces. He had been wondering where their sensei was, but decided against it. He didn't need any reason for them to start getting all defensive. My mission is almost complete, I just need to seal up this body, and then I am gone, spoke Naruto as he grabbed the scroll he had just sealed up Aoi's body in. They watched as Naruto picked up the umbrella weapon and the sword of the Thunder God, and quickly got into fighting stances. Where do you think you are going with that? Demanded the Hyuga as he eyed Naruto with his white eyes. Naruto turned around to look at them, not getting why they were all defensive. That weapon is property of the Hidden Leaf Village, and we cannot allow you to take it, spoke Tenten as she pulled out another scroll and prepared to fight Naruto. Naruto thought she was crazy, but didn't say anything. It is unyouthful to take things that do not belong to you, spoke Lee as he took up the strong fist taijutsu stance, ready to go all out if need be. Home, you can try to stop me, and I defeated Aoi, so it belongs to me, spoke Naruto as he activated the sword of the Thunder God and held it in front of him. When they charged him, he channeled his chakra through the sword, causing it to grow in power before unleashing powerful energy blasts towards them. They were down for the count even before they made it halfway to him. That was fun, But I have got to go, hope to see you guys around, spoke Naruto with a grin on his face as he jumped into the trees and ran off quickly. He left the tree genin lying there partially paralyzed from the sword, though they would regain control of their bodies soon enough. Now I can finally get back to the clan for my initiation, thought Naruto as he ran at top speeds towards the port. He had already done everything else he was supposed to, so now he would finally get some free time again. Naruto was standing in a free training ground with his shirt off as he went through the katas of his taijutsu style. He had some new ink work done that he just loved to show off. On his left shoulder was the symbol of the Fuma clan in black ink, and on his right shoulder was the swirling symbol of the Uzumaki clan which he loved to display. Naruto had been so happy after his mission that he instantly went and got his clan tattoo done, but when it was there he felt he would need to represent his clan more, and had the symbol of the Uzumaki clan done in black as well. Now he was a real member of the Fuma clan, and he couldn't be happier. The reason Naruto was going through his katas so rigorously was because of a certain message Mai had gotten the other day. It was the news that they had all been waiting for. Kakuzu was coming to pick Naruto up, which meant his skills would be evaluated, and that meant that this was the make it or break it moment in Naruto's life. He didn't want to get left behind. He loved the Fuma clan and those inside of it, but for some reason he wanted to prove himself to Kakuzu. He figured that was why he had trained so diligently. It was sort of a purpose, to prove that Kakuzu had made the right bet in brining Naruto to the Fuma clan. He would learn what he could with Kakuzu, make a lot of money, and then go back to the Fuma clan when he had repaid his debt. He didn't know why, but the thought of being away from the girls was almost more than he could bear. He wouldn't be gone for too long, so he really hoped that they would not forget him. Naruto ran through the things that he had learned in his head, trying to make sure that he had not forgotten anything, and was wondering what Kakuzu would test him in. It could be the basic shinobi arts like taijutsu, ninjutsu, and genjutsu, or it could be something like kill someone to prove that he had the right mentality for the job. There were 1,000,001 scenarios that were playing through Naruto's head that either made his headache worse or just filled him with dread. Naruto held on to the fact that he did know at least one powerful wind-style jutsu, so if it came down to a fight between him and Kakuzu, he knew that he would at least be able to surprise him with that. If not, then he would be seriously screwed. On that note, Naruto was extremely happy that Kajiro hadn't told Mai about him learning that wind jutsu. He could only imagine the horrible things she would have done to him if she had found out. Damn it, why couldn't he have just told Mai what he wanted me to learn so that I didn't have to stress over it, spoke Naruto as he plopped down on a tree stump and looked down at the book laying at his feet. It was the book the silver-haired man who had forced this immortality on him had left. It was filled with all kinds of religious nonsense, but there were also many different types of blood techniques inside of it. It led Naruto to believe that maybe the immortality was a side or after effect of someone trying to invent some kind of blood jutsu, but were not able to continuously produce blood, so the immortality jutsu came into place to negate the effect of dying. Naruto had actually practiced these techniques in private. Some of them were very painful for him, but his immortality and his increasing pain resistance had kept him from messing up too many times. Some of the jutsu were actually very practical, while others were almost pointless, or took far too much preparation work. Naruto did find a jutsu that he figured would make a great assassination jutsu, but if you were close enough to someone to get their blood, then you might as well just kill them instead of running away to use the jutsu. Another thing about his immortality jutsu he had found out about was that it could make his blood extremely toxic. This Naruto found fascinating because of the potential it had. Even if Naruto got injured, his blood still had the opportunity to do lots of damage, since the blood could scatter as a mist and then be breathed in by an enemy ninja. The poison was so powerful that it destroyed the DNA inside of the blood, making it impossible for him to be identified genetically. All of these jutsu were painful, annoying, tedious, and usually impractical, but they did have situational value, and they were a part of his kenjutsu, so he figured he might as well learn them. It was a pain in the ass to learn them as well, since even if he stayed awake at night to train them, he would still have to wake up in the morning to do the training that Mai had in store for him. It was annoying to say the least, but he never told her that. He wasn't willing to test the limits of his immortality. Naruto sensed someone approaching and turned around to see Kajiro with a look of sadness on her face. Naruto smiled a bit at her and motioned for her to come over and sit next to him, which she did. Naruto and Kajiro had a special relationship that didn't need words, but they still enjoyed the exchange of pleasantries. Lady Mai has ordered me to tell you that Lord Kakuzu has arrived in the main hall of the Fuma clan. She said that making him and her wait would not be a wise choice, and that you should hurry up, or else Kakuzu's test will probably be infinitely more painful than it probably already will be, spoke Kajiro in a detached voice as she looked down at the ground with an expressionless look on her face and bit unblinking eyes. Naruto sighed a bit knowing that this would happen. You know, Kajiro, even if I do leave the Fuma clan, that doesn't mean that I won't come back. As soon as I am done paying my debt back to Kakuzu, I promise you I will come back to the Fuma clan, and you can beat me up during our training all you want, spoke Naruto with a smile on his face. He did notice that Kajiro's face did brighten a bit, but for the most part she remained the same detached look that she had been having since she sat down. Even if you did come back, all that would happen is that we would all slowly age around you until we were all dead. Even after we die you will still look the same as you did when you reached your peak, or at least that is what you told me. I don't want to slowly fade out of your memories, and neither do Kotoheim and Sasami. We all want to be beside you forever, yet that is impossible. You are immortal, we are not, and for that reason we can never be anything more than what we are right now, spoke Kajiro as she grabbed hold of the stump that they were sitting on with both hands and flexed them. The stump soon turned to sawdust in her hands. Naruto was confused about what she meant, still somewhat thick when it came to romance, but he knew that her feelings were genuine. He could feel that much. I don't know, being immortal does sound great on paper, but when you think about it I find it becomes a daunting thought. To walk the earth endlessly for all time not changing, and having to slowly watch as those you love grow old and die just sounds awful. I would love for you, Kotoheim, and Sasami to be with me forever, but I couldn't let you make that decision, not yet, spoke Naruto, but then Kajiro's face was in his face and tears were streaming down her beautiful face. Naruto didn't know what to say or do, he assumed she was going to beat him up for some reason, but it never came. Why? Why won't you let me and the others become immortal so that we can stay with the one we care about most? Do you not care about us that much? Do you really think that you could go on living without us, or do you just not want to have to deal with us for eternity, demanded Kajiro as she stared into Naruto's purple eyes with a fury that only a woman could produce. She didn't want to be without Naruto, and the thought that they could stay together, like this, forever was just an amazing idea. She feared that Naruto didn't feel the same way as her. I said not yet, not that I wouldn't want you guys with me forever. I just think that you three are too young to make this type of decision. It was forced on me without my consent, and although it led to a much better life than the one I led before, I still can't just give you the immortality knowing the test of time can break even the strongest man. You and the girls should really think about this decision, and when I come back after repaying Kakuzu, then you guys can give me your answer, and I promise that I will respect and honor any decision you guys make, spoke Naruto, right before he was enveloped in a powerful hug from Kajiro. The girl was so damn strong, even naturally, that it was amazing, and add on all of her training, and you had one bad mama jama. Naruto smiled a bit and started to pat Kajiro on her back and hummed a little tune that she liked. She would never admit it, and Naruto would never say it, but she really was a kid at heart. She liked playing kid games, she loved children, she had a sweet innocence to her that made Naruto smile, even though she had killed before. She had a good heart, and Naruto assumed that was one of the things that had attracted him to her. Kajiro smiled a bit and enjoyed the warmth Naruto's body produced when they were in such close contact. Her face was already a bit flushed, but when he started to rub her back and started to hum her favorite song, her blush went crimson. He knew her so well, and it was like he had been made for her. They both had dark pasts, but they had grown strong because of them, not letting it get in their way, and honestly his kindness, never give up attitude, and his ability to understand her pain had caused her to become so attracted to him. Kajiro pulled back and whipped a few tears out of her eyes before clearing her throat. Well, it would be best if we didn't make Lady Mai and Lord Kakuzu wait any longer. They will undoubtedly be angry that we took so long, and whatever punishment that equals out for you is unknown, spoke Kajiro with a small smirk on her face as she saw the depressed look on Naruto's face. She found it cute, but knew that she would miss it once he was gone. Naruto's head dropped a bit, and he let out an audible sigh. Yeah, I got it. Lord knows what a man like Kakuzu is going to do to me once I show up after making him wait so long. Hopefully he leaves my face intact. It is my money maker after all, spoke Naruto as he walked beside Kajiro right before giving her a flirtatious wink, before he ran off towards the Fuma clan compound, leaving behind a blushing Kajiro who was going to get him back for that, eventually. Kakuzu. Kakuzu was waiting on Naruto in the main greeting room of the Fuma clan compound with Mai standing close by. The hallway was nice with large columns and large pictures of past clan heads on the wall. He noticed Mai's dead husband was up on the wall, right beside Mai's picture, back when she was still young and beautiful. Beauty was a strange concept to Kakuzu. When he was young and carefree, he used to look at beautiful women back in Taki all the time with his friends. But after nearly 100 years of living as a bounty hunter, he had noticed that when he saw anything beautiful it would instantly age into discrepancy right before his eyes. He figured it was how he viewed things now. He saw what they would look like in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years' time. He no longer was captured by the surface world, but now he had a much more in-depth look on things. He saw what their value, looks, and usability would be in the future, not the now, and had come to hold a different kind of value than others had. That was why he had decided to take Naruto, and have him trained in the shinobi arts, by a strong clan that had the right mindset. Naruto had value to Kakuzu in a way that not even the Akatsuki could rival. Kakuzu was old enough to know that an organization like the Akatsuki would not remain a secret forever, and that someone, be it some powerful group on ninja, the great nations, or any other factor, would swoop in and rain on their parade. It was the way of the world. The Akatsuki would serve as a great place to find information and bounties, but they would fade with time, of that he was sure. But Naruto was different than the Akatsuki. He would last forever, as not even poison, mutilation, incineration, or time could stop him. With the right training he would be a very powerful force in the future, and with such a powerful force on his side, making money in the future would be much easier. He had the pedigree, the talent, and now some solid training, so he would have an endless worth that Kakuzu could exploit at any time he wanted, which would result in him making more money. Kakuzu wasn't an idiot, far from it. He knew that Naruto would undoubtedly have formed bonds here in the Fuma clan, and would probably miss those that he was leaving behind, but the boy had a sense of honor, or maybe it was pride, that wouldn't let those feelings stop him from repaying his debt. Kakuzu was sure that the boy would want to take a vacation from bounty hunting from time to time, maybe when he became a teenager and started seeing girls as women, and Kakuzu would probably rather be alone than watch as someone had to go through that hell. He knew it from experience. That would be fine. In fact, it would be welcomed. Kakuzu wasn't the social butterfly others thought he was, so being around someone who was so full of life would really get on Kakuzu's nerves after a while. It would be a vacation for him as well, but he knew that when Naruto started to need money, there would be one man to call, and Kakuzu would make even more money that way. Kakuzu was still trying to figure out what the Akatsuki were going to do now that he had defected. He had agreed to continue helping fund their organization, though only at the stipulation that they pass on any information that he wanted, told him of the latest and greatest bounties, and kept that idiot Hidan away from him. Kakuzu had gotten in some trouble with the Akatsuki when he first started out, as he tended to lose his temper and kill his partner. As one would imagine, there wasn't many S-ranked nuke ninja out there that were willing to just join some random organization that they knew nothing about, just to be paired up with a man who kept killing his partners. Kakuzu hadn't ever cared about their anger, but he felt that the leader of the Akatsuki had decided to punish him when he allowed Hidan into their organization. The man was the single most annoying creature on the planet, and Kakuzu had tried very hard to kill him, but no matter how many times he burned, electrocuted, crushed, cut, drowned, or strangled, the man just got right back up, if he was still in one piece, and would go straight to bitching again. Kakuzu had been so angry that he had threatened to leave the Akatsuki then and there after only 6 months with Hidan, if they didn't change him out of his team. The leader of the Akatsuki seemed to show some form of mercy and granted his wish. That was how he got stuck with the newest member who had replaced Orochimaru. The man's name was Hiriko, and he had invented his own kinjutsu. Though Kakuzu thought it was stupid, the man was strong, so he kept his mouth shut and observed, looking for strengths and weaknesses, in case they became enemies. Kakuzu found the man's persistent search to become the perfect immortal ninja to be both trying and pointless. The man was obviously crazy, though that fact that ninjutsu didn't work against him was a pain in the ass. He was sure that he would still be able to take him, though it would still probably be a close call. He was just happy that Hidan wasn't on his team anymore. But even then Kakuzu suspected Hidan to have been the one who had given Naruto his immortality. He had the silver hair, purple eyes, and spoke of the god that Naruto had once mentioned, but Hidan wouldn't shut up about him. Kakuzu also noticed that the man had an incredibly durable body, just like Naruto's, which healed very quickly regardless of what the wound may have been, not even leaving scars. Kakuzu had to admit that Hidan was strong, but his techniques were tedious, relying on his blood techniques to kill his victims, and he didn't even try to use ninjutsu. Kakuzu saw the man as wasted potential, as he didn't even use the flying swallow technique with his triple-bladed scythe, though that may have been because the technique would push the blood off of the scythe, which was the entire point of the scythe in the first place. Kakuzu had once thought about mentioning that he should learn the hiding with camouflage technique, but thought against it. It was no sweat off of his back if Hidan got chopped up because he was an idiot, and besides, Kakuzu wanted him to get chopped up. Maybe it would finally shut the man up. Kakuzu figured Hidan would continue doing the same trick, over, and over, and over, and over until someone finally got it in their heads to bury him and just leave him there. He wasn't the type to adapt at all, and only seemed to rely on a set amount of skills. He prayed for Naruto's sake that the boy wasn't like that, because he didn't need an idiot watching his back. Kakuzu was also humbled by the Akatsuki. After so long walking through the elemental nations killing bounty after bounty, he had come to the sense that he was the biggest and baddest predator in the sea of criminals. But after seeing some of the things that the other Akatsuki members could do, he felt that he had found others of his kind, but his species did not tend to play well with one another, and had a tendency to try and kill one another to see who was the biggest and baddest of them all. Kakuzu didn't feel like sticking around when everything went to hell, and although their leader had some weird dojutsu that he had never seen before, didn't mean that he would be able to control 8 other S-ranked ninja, though his right-hand woman Konan seemed to be very dedicated to him, so she probably would have helped him should things have turned south for them. Kakuzu was glad for another reason that he had joined the Akatsuki. It seemed that many members were very proud, though Kakuzu thought it was because they were vain in their abilities, and were not above showing off to the rest of them. This gave Kakuzu a chance to learn more about them, learn their weaknesses, because if one of them defected he would more than likely be the one to go after them so that he could get the bounty. Having info on their skills would really help him out in the future. Now he was back in the Fuma clan compound that was hidden in some thick mountains, giving them a lot of protection both visually and defensively. Kakuzu was just happy that it was so close to Amigakure, so that he wouldn't have to waste time getting to Naruto, which would waste their time hunting for bounties. It is good to see you again, Kakuzu, though I thought that you would at least wait until the boy was 11 to come get him, though maybe you have other plans for him, spoke Mai as she looked over at Kakuzu with a small smile that he did not return, but a small nod of the head was more than even she had expected. I grew tired of the organization in which I was a part of and have come back to see how my future investment was coming along. I hope the boy has become useful to some extent, spoke Kakuzu as he looked down at Mai, who only smiled a bit more. He raised an eyebrow at that, but didn't say anything. The woman was shrewd, that was for sure, and he didn't want her getting any more of an advantage over him. Oh, what, were they not making you enough money, or was it that you just couldn't handle anyone taking such a large cut of the profits from your payday, spoke Mai with a grin on her face. That grin only got bigger when Kakuzu started to tighten his hands repeatedly. Mai knew that she had hit a sore spot. I didn't come here to talk about the organization, but the boy. Now what have you taught him, spoke Kakuzu, trying to forget about all of the money he had given that organization to keep it running. He surely didn't want to tell Mai that, or she would have jokes until the day she shriveled up and died. Well, we did as you requested and built a strong base for you to add on to, but the boy's education was severely lacking, not to be unexpected from one so young, but still even for a boy of 8 he was severely lacking in the information part of his training. We had to take a good deal of time to teach the boy the academics that he would need, along with teaching him things like how to strategize, read an opponent, and several other small things that mean the difference between life and death on the battlefield, spoke Mai as she listed off the more boring things that they had taught Naruto, knowing full well that it was angering Kakuzu greatly. She knew that he knew that education was important, but that didn't mean that he wanted a weakling for a partner. Great, you made me a scholar. I am sure I can put him to good use organizing and counting my money, spoke Kakuzu with anger in his voice, which had sarcasm clinging to it heavily. I know you taught him the academic parts, but you know that I was referring to his skills. I know you're smart, you've trained countless ninja, so I know the boy wasn't neglected in the brain area, but what I need to know is where should I start teaching him, spoke Kakuzu, his breathing starting to get a bit labored as he tried to control his incredible anger. He didn't want to kill Mai, she still had her uses, besides he wasn't the type to break a deal unless he was screwed first. Oh, well, yes, of course, you know we would have been past this if you had been clearer, spoke Mai as she grinned evilly. The boy is quite amazing, really. Besides the fact that he cannot die, he also has several other unique abilities. He has amazing sensory powers, and as we all know, sensory ninja are great to have around. He is a natural with Fuinjutsu as well, he has great reflexes, and he also has 2 strong natural affinities, spoke Mai, knowing that the last part would greatly interest Kakuzu, though she was positive that all of it was interesting Kakuzu from the look on his face. Kakuzu thought about what Mai said and had to admit he liked what he was hearing. Sensory ninja were as loved, if not more so because of their scarcity, as bloodlines by villages. They were almost impossible to sneak up on, made great trackers, and were great when fighting in places that hampered the natural eyesight. Fuinjutsu users were great as well, though Kakuzu had expected that as well as the sensory abilities, since it was a common thing among the Uzumaki clan. He was thrilled to have a ninja with this much potential in areas of the ninja arts that others had almost no idea about. Many disregarded Fuinjutsu, but Kakuzu and the leaders of the great villages knew just how powerful and useful these skills were. They said that the number of people who excelled in Fuinjutsu was only about 1/100th of the number of people who were sensory ninja. The 2 affinities had really interested Kakuzu. With his immortality, even if his heart was destroyed like Kakuzu's, he would still be able to function without it, and not be hampered by the weakening of his jutsu. Kakuzu knew that it was usually only people with elemental bloodline who had 2 natural affinities, but it was possible it was a side effect of the immortality jutsu that had been placed upon him. What are the 2 elements that the boy possesses, and what is his skill using them, spoke Kakuzu as he looked over at the old woman that he had come to know. Honestly, as sad as it was to say, she was the closest thing to a friend he had, but he would never admit that. The boy has mastered the elemental training for both elements, and knows a few low-level jutsu for both of them, But other than that his elemental jutsu arsenal is pretty thin, spoke Mai, remembering all of the times she had to tell Naruto no, that he couldn't waste all of his time learning powerful jutsu, though she had suspected he had been learning behind her back. After that they went on to talk about Naruto's training and his life here in the Fuma clan. Kakuzu was happy that the boy had already killed, and learned the basics of retrieving a body and whatnot, though he was sure he would have to teach the boy the finer points of being a bounty hunter. About an hour into their conversation Naruto and Kajiro came running into the room at quick speeds. They seemed to be in good spirits, though Naruto did seem a little tense. Mai smiled knowing how excited the boy was to learn from a living legend like Kakuzu, but all great things came with a price. "Your late brat," spoke Kakuzu as he looked at Naruto with his weird eyes. He noted that Naruto looked far more capable than he had when they had first met. "Yeah, sorry about that, I was out training in one of the farther training fields when I got the info," spoke Naruto, as he scratched the back of his head nervously. That look Kakuzu was giving him was making him nervous. "It doesn't matter, all that matters is now. Now follow me, it is time to see what you can do, or see if you are just a big dud," spoke Kakuzu as he walked out of the compound quickly. Naruto nodded his head and quickly followed Kakuzu. "You know he will come back, he won't leave you girls alone for long, I am sure of it," spoke Mai as she looked at the sad look on Kajiro's face with a small warm smile of her own. "Ah, young love. I just hope he doesn't change. I want Naruto to always be the same kind person that he is today," spoke Kajiro as she held on to the note that Naruto had given her. He promised he would come back for them, and he always kept his promises. Training ground. Kakuzu stopped in a big green training field that had all the things you would need to learn ninjutsu or to fight for your life. He stopped and turned around, giving Naruto a hard look that Naruto returned, determined not to look weak. "All you have to do is show me what you have learned, other than that I will be the judge of," spoke Kakuzu, though he didn't even get into a taijutsu stance, which pissed Naruto off. Naruto didn't even speak, he just launched himself at Kakuzu. When he got close enough he started to unleash a powerful barrage of punches that Kakuzu easily caught, or pushed away, or simply dodged. Naruto wasn't done and quickly jumped up into the air to give Kakuzu a spin kick to the head, only for his leg to be caught in one of Kakuzu's hands and then smashed into the ground. Your punches and kids have plenty of speed and power in them, but there was no fancy moves or overly wasted moments, so you passed taijutsu. Now show me some ninjutsu, spoke Kakuzu as he jumped back to give Naruto a little breathing room. Ninjutsu? You want ninjutsu? Well then I will give you ninjutsu, spoke Naruto as he started to go through a series of hand signs before stopping. With a giant breath he sucked in plenty of air, and then compressed it in his lungs before pushing it into his throat, then into his mouth. Wind style, drilling air bullet, shouted Naruto as he unleashed the powerful A-rank jutsu towards Kakuzu. Kakuzu for his part was shocked at the power Naruto had been able to put into that wind jutsu without ripping his lungs or destroying his throat. He would need to talk with Mai, because that was way more than a few low-level jutsu. Kakuzu didn't want to try and block the jutsu, mainly because he didn't want to waste the chakra, and because he wanted to see the damage the jutsu would inflict. When he did dodge the wind jutsu he wasn't disappointed by the destruction it caused. It seemed that Naruto had plenty of chakra, and wind release training to be useful. When he landed, he was quickly surrounded by a black three-dimensional triangle that restricted his movements. Curse of Mandala, spoke Naruto with a grin on his face as his hands were held in a triangle formation with his thumbs and index fingers touching one another. He pushed his hands closer together, and the technique started to compress around Kakuzu. Kakuzu watched Naruto and the stupid grin on his face, but the boy wasn't laughing for long when a hand shot out of the ground and pulled his legs out from under him, causing him to lose control of the technique, which freed him. Kakuzu quickly reattached his arm, and grinned when he saw the annoyed look on Naruto's face. You passed ninjutsu as well, and since Mai told me your chakra reserves hinder you from using genjutsu, and she assures me that your genjutsu release technique is up to par, we will just leave genjutsu alone for now, spoke Kakuzu as he walked to Naruto and then handed him a tanto. Naruto looked at the tanto in his hand and noticed it had a strange white chakra around the blade. He thought it was really cool and started to examine from every angle. He grabbed the sheath and placed it on his back where he could get it any time he needed. That is a powerful and highly expensive weapon I picked up during the Third Shinobi World War. I have decided to take you with me, so think of it as your graduation present. Now I am going to teach you a jutsu, so shut up, spoke Kakuzu as he pulled a kunai out of his pocket and channeled his chakra through it. Eventually you could see electricity jumping around the kunai. This is called streaming your chakra. The jutsu I am going to teach you are the wind variation of this technique called the flying swallow technique, spoke Kakuzu, and soon he started to teach Naruto the highly useful and nearly indispensable skill that all real ninjas should know. Naruto was having so much fun. A good fight, a new jutsu, and an exciting future was beckoning for him, and he was going to grab this bull by the horns. Kakuzu and Naruto were walking through the land of hot water, and honestly Naruto didn't see why so many people came to this country just to gamble and take bathes that were just a bit hotter than usual. Naruto felt that people who had the money to waste their time doing ridiculous stuff like that were just problems, and should be dealt with for their laissez-faire attitude when they could use that money to help others who actually needed it. The country was the epitome of what a happy country should be. The sky was a beautiful blue color with large fluffy white clouds drifting aimlessly through the sky without a worry in the world. The grass was lush green and was obviously full of minerals if the fat animals they had seen recently were anything to go on. The trees were pines, a type of tree that Naruto really didn't like since the leaves were really just sharp green needles that poked and prodded you every time you brushed against them. The people were happy and content as well, and their homes were quaint and comfortable. All in all, it was a real snooze fest in Naruto's opinion. Naruto liked countries like the Land of Rain that had darkened skies that hid ninja ready to pounce at any moment. The non-stop rain really gave the ominous feeling that Naruto enjoyed when he went into battle knowing that destruction was not far away. He didn't feel bad about destroying lands like those in the Land of Rain, because honestly it was already so messed up that you couldn't tell the difference. Naruto felt that this country was due for a war soon, especially since there were only weak samurai wannabes protecting it from foreign invaders. Naruto had been walking hours now, only seeing the back of Kakuzu's cloak, knowing that the man wasn't really into the whole talking thing really left, for Naruto, an awkward silence that he wished would be filled. Kakuzu had been teaching him more advanced ninja skills for a while now, and felt it was time to start getting some real experience, but Naruto knew that was an excuse for Kakuzu to get back to making money. They had started off with what Naruto believed was an insult to his skills. Kakuzu had basically told Naruto that he believed that his skills were that of a common genin and took him to the Land of Honey to wipe out a group of bandits that he'd been terrorizing the lands. Naruto had been so insulted, but no, to the point that common sense left him, and channeled that anger into killing the bandits efficiently yet brutally. Naruto felt so ashamed that Kakuzu believed that all his skills equaled up to killing lousy bandits, and was even angrier when Kakuzu kept on having him kill more and more bandits for whatever money they were worth. Naruto had been able to test out a few of his jutsu that had interested him on the bandits though, so it wasn't all bad. Mai had taught him how to knead his chakra instead of converting it into an element to give him some diversity. Like all ninja from the Land of Rain, the Fuma clan excelled at poison-based skills, and Mai had been more than kind enough to teach him how to use his poisonous blood as jutsu. It was interesting and fun at the same time, plus useful since he wouldn't have to make his own poison from now on, which saved money, something Kakuzu loved. He watched with fascination as large groups of bandits choked to death after inhaling his blood mist jutsu, and die almost instantly. Mai had been shocked when she found out about his blood jutsu, and after examining his blood said it would only take the tiniest whiff for the poison to enter the body and kill you. It also had the added bonus of not destroying the bandits' things, meaning there was a lot less damaged items when compared to usual. Naruto had gotten to meet a few of Kakuzu's connections, which was pretty cool, although Kakuzu didn't like for him to know too much about his secret connections in the underground world. Naruto found out where some of the black market hideouts were, how to trade in a bounty for money, and how to get information on the latest what's happening. "We are here," spoke Kakuzu as he looked at a small town nestled against the surrounding forest. He had to admit he wasn't a fan of places like this either, since he felt like he stuck out like a sore thumb. The people usually dressed in light happy colors while he and Naruto were dressed in dark ominous colors. "Where is here? You haven't told me anything other than we got a new target," spoke Naruto, getting really pissed that Kakuzu was ignoring him recently. After the last time he killed a large group of bandits, that surprisingly had some ninja in it, not that it was a problem for Naruto. Kakuzu had been quiet and had brought them to this happy place without telling Naruto why. "I have come to the decision that you are going to learn how to use my jutsu," spoke Kakuzu without even looking at Naruto, and began walking towards the small town. "For that we need to be in a place where there are not a lot of ninja who could be a threat, and a place that has everything we need. This place is perfect for that," spoke Kakuzu with distaste in his voice. Kakuzu wasn't happy about this any more than Naruto was. They were both used to the darkness, the cold and dangerous. Being in this happy, safe, warm place really didn't suit him, but Naruto needed a safe place to learn to harness his power, and this was the best place for that. When Kakuzu saw that Naruto was strong enough to kill 4 Chunin ninja from the Land of Frost, he knew that the boy was ready to receive his power. It wasn't that Naruto was weak and needed his power, it was just interesting to think what Naruto would be like with his own power, and his, Kakuzu's, power mixed together. As far as Kakuzu could see, the immortality technique that was placed on Naruto gave him advanced physical capabilities, the ability to survive nearly any wound, and heightened senses as well. It was obviously a close-range ability where Kakuzu's power was all around, though was best at mid-range. Kakuzu had been thinking about it for a long time, and honestly there was one real reason he had decided to do this, the Akatsuki. He didn't believe for a second that a group of 10 S-ranked ninja would let him just walk away like that. He was almost positive they would send 1 or 2 other S-ranked ninja to come and deal with him. Fighting 1 S-ranked ninja was hard enough, fighting 2 was damn near suicidal, though Kakuzu was sure he could survive, maybe having to play possum, but if Naruto was around and strong enough he wouldn't have to worry about that. One thing Kakuzu loved about his power was that it allowed him to fight someone from multiple angles, causing the enemy to have to watch out for more than just one ninja. It also had the added bonus of allowing him to fight with multiple elements, from the air and on the ground all at the same time. With all this going on, Kakuzu's enemies rarely had the skills to defend themselves for long. While Kakuzu knew that he was strong, and his powers were great, he couldn't lie to himself and say that there was not any other ninja who were stronger than him. Deidara was a prime example of this with his powerful explosion jutsu and other techniques that caused widespread damage, though if push came to shove Kakuzu believed he could win if he took advantage of Deidara's cocky attitude. Kisame was a real problem for Kakuzu since Kakuzu usually used a wide range of ninjutsu to defeat his enemies, and Kisame had the shark skin sword which had mass amounts of chakra, basically nullifying his ninjutsu completely. No, if he wanted to survive he would need to train Naruto up to his level so that when the time came he could have someone watch his back. Kakuzu did have to admit, if only in his head, that Mai did a good job training Naruto. His body was very strong and his fighting style was solid, leaving room for improvement and improvisation. The boy knew a good amount of ninjutsu and had already mastered 2 elements, an offensive element that also acted as a supplementary element, and a defensive element. That didn't include the unique jutsu that Mai had taught him that had been invented by the Fuma clan. "What do you mean training?" asked Naruto. He had been training while on the move, and honestly he had learned a wide range of jutsu for his wind and earth affinities, though Kakuzu refused to teach him the iron skin jutsu which Naruto really wanted to learn, and more advanced wind release jutsu. "I am going to give you the earth grudge fear, and then I am going to leave you here," spoke Kakuzu as he entered the town. He wasn't surprised when people parted in the streets to let him by while the adults looked at him with fear and the children with awe. "Wait a second, you're going to leave me? Why? Aren't you going to take me with you? What happened to you making me a powerful bounty hunter like you?" spoke Naruto in an accusing voice. He didn't see where Kakuzu was going with all of this, and why he was helping him only to leave him sitting on the sidelines. Kakuzu pushed a man out of his way that hadn't seen him coming, causing him to fall on the ground as Kakuzu walked on by. "I am going to give you the earth grudge fear, but it will take time for it to adapt to your body, and possibly longer due to your already unique situation. I don't have time to sit around babysitting you, so while you get used to the earth grudge fear I will be out bounty hunting to make more money," spoke Kakuzu as he continued walking through the streets. "Then why didn't you leave me at the Fuma clan compound so that I would be safe while the earth grudge fear adapts to my body? I wouldn't have to worry about being attacked or anything like that if I were with them," spoke Naruto, missing his friends in the Fuma clan already. He hadn't seen them in a year, and he was hoping that they hadn't forgotten him or something like that. Kakuzu stopped and wheeled around, staring into Naruto's eyes with his own. Naruto took a step back in shock, but held his ground, not wanting to appear weak in Kakuzu's presence. "You have gotten too comfortable relying on the Fuma clan to hold your hand while training. You have to learn to train and watch your back at the same time if you wish to survive in this world," spoke Kakuzu as he turned back around and continued walking. "Okay, so what is it that I am supposed to be doing while the earth grudge fear adapts to my body, and you're gone?" spoke Naruto, not really getting what he would do for a whole year with Kakuzu being gone. It wasn't like he could train himself, he really had no idea what he would need to do to get stronger besides increasing his physical training and trying to come up with his own jutsu. "You will only be staying here for the first few months, as that is the most painful and enduring part of the process. After that, when you are able to move at an acceptable pace, you are to incorporate the earth grudge fear into your fighting style so that you can use it to its greatest degree possible. If and only if you are able to do this will I let you keep the earth grudge fear after the 1-year period. If you fail, then you will have to endure as I pull out thousands of strings from your body in a slow, antagonizing, painful way," spoke Kakuzu without an ounce of pity, but there was a truckload of foreboding in his tone. Naruto knew that Kakuzu wasn't lying about what he would do if he failed, so he nodded his head and started to prepare for what was to come. Naruto went to say something, but then a group of samurai showed up and surrounded them. Naruto reached for his tanto that Kakuzu had given him, but Kakuzu made a motion for him to stop, so he did. Naruto watched as the samurai looked from Kakuzu with weary looks, to him with looks of confusion and pity. It burned Naruto that he wasn't getting the same respect as Kakuzu, but he bottled it up knowing that eventually his time would come. Kakuzu didn't visibly react, but Naruto could tell that he was angry, not that he really ever wasn't. "What is going on here?" demanded Kakuzu in his gravelly voice that sent chills down the otherwise fearless samurai's spines. The captain stepped forward and stood before Kakuzu with a brave face which surprised Naruto. We have received reports that a suspicious man was walking throughout town with a young man in his company. We are just here to make sure nothing illegal is going on, spoke the captain as he looked behind Kakuzu towards Naruto. Naruto realized that the captain was trying to figure out if he had been captured or if he was there on his own free will. Don't worry, I am his apprentice, not his captive, so no worries, spoke Naruto as he gave the captain a dismissive wave that left no room to believe he was faking or anything. The captain seemed pleased with what he saw and began to interrogate Kakuzu. Not very smart. We would like to know why you have entered out village missing means, spoke the captain as he rested his hand on his katana. Naruto just wanted to sigh since this wasn't the first time Kakuzu's refusal to take off his headband had gotten them into trouble. I am just passing by, but my young charge will be staying in this town for a month or two while he gets over a sickness. I am not a doctor, nor am I his babysitter, so either he takes care of himself or I will leave him here, spoke Kakuzu in a cold tone that spoke of how he wouldn't care if his apprentice died since he would just move on without a care in the world. Isn't that a bit harsh? The boy has put his trust in you, and you're just going to abandon him to take care of himself just because he got a little sick, spoke the captain in a disgusted tone as he looked up into Kakuzu's green eyes. But all he saw was anger and fire, so he backed up a bit. Harsh times makes one stronger. In a way you could say I am doing this for the boy's own good, spoke Kakuzu. But then he heard something that sounded like "you're right" coming from behind him, only to look back and see his apprentice looking away with an innocent look on his face. He narrowed his eyes at the now sweating Naruto, but decided the samurai captain was more important, so he looked back at the metal-garbed man. Well, he is your charge, so there is not much I can do about it, but I will warn you to be careful when under my watch, spoke the man before he and his group of samurai walked off to go do whatever it was they did. Naruto saw the almost disappointed looks on the people's faces, like they had wanted them to be arrested or something, but then he realized Kakuzu was letting off a small amount of killer intent, and the people were just scared. Naruto sighed, knowing that Kakuzu was not going to be in a bad mood. Come along, runt, spoke Kakuzu in a harsh tone as he began to walk further into the village with Naruto following quickly behind. Kakuzu hadn't been very pleasant after the little run-in with the samurai guard of the village, and honestly Naruto was surprised that Kakuzu hadn't just killed him like he had tried to do to Naruto so many times. But then again, it was possible Kakuzu wasn't trying to make any commotion that would lead to other ninjas showing up. The point of coming here was to avoid enemy ninja after all. He used an interesting jutsu called the Earthen Home Jutsu, which he didn't teach Naruto, which again really pissed Naruto off. The Earthen Home Jutsu made a 2-bedroom house out of earth, which surprisingly had paper windows and other comforts that were not made out of earth. Naruto actually had a bed, though it felt like it was made out of comfortable shifting sand, but he never brought it up with Kakuzu since the man didn't like talking about jutsu he invented for some reason. Kakuzu had decided that living inside of the town would draw too much attention to Naruto, so he brought Naruto out into the forest and found a nice-sized clearing and used his jutsu to make a house at the edge for Naruto. In all honesty, it was much nicer than what Naruto had assumed Kakuzu would do, which was just leave him stranded somewhere without anything and expect Naruto to make it on his own. In the center of the house was a fire pit that went about a foot down and was filled with wood that Naruto had to gather himself. To the side was a large pile of wood that Naruto had carried here after using a wind jutsu to chop them up, but it was Kakuzu who used the fire jutsu to get the fire started. As they sat on either sides of the fire looking at it, and in Naruto's case looking at it then Kakuzu seemed to finally get annoyed and reached into his cloak and pull out a single string that was a dark gray-purple color. What was really weird in Naruto's opinion was it was moving around like a worm or something, and it sat perched between Kakuzu's thumb and middle finger. Nice thread worm, spoke Naruto, breaking the silence that permeated the earthen home. Kakuzu was just staring at him at first, but then his face turned to one of anger after Naruto said that. Shut up, you little brat, and listen well. This is a thread of the earth grudge fear, and it will be the origin for the earth grudge fear that will grow inside of you. You see, this is how the earth grudge fear develops. It eats away at the user's chakra, growing and multiplying inside of them while connecting to that person's chakra network and organs like a second chakra network. This is why so many died in the past when trying to adapt to the earth grudge fear. It was because they either died from the damage to their bodies, or their career as ninjas was ended when it damaged their chakra system, spoke Kakuzu, given an emphasis on that last bit, letting Naruto know that even though this wouldn't kill him, it could end his career as a ninja. Naruto sat up a bit straighter on his chair when he heard that. He was excited to learn about whatever power Kakuzu had, although he had no idea what it was, but this new danger really had him worried. He didn't want to lose the power he had trained too hard to gain, but Kakuzu was very strong, and if he could get that power, then maybe it was worth the risk. I can see in your eyes that you understand what this means, don't you, spoke Kakuzu, seeing that Naruto was serious all of a sudden. The boy knew what it meant to be feared, to kill, to fear, and to be killed. He was more deserving of this power than any before him, but it would all depend on whether he had what it took to gain the power he so desperately wanted. To lose the ability to use chakra would almost assuredly end my ninja career, but as I am now, I am not strong enough to get what I want, so I will stand up to any challenge and defeat it with my head held high, and do what I must to get stronger, spoke Naruto with a determined look in his eyes. Kakuzu smirked a bit, and then pushed his hand forward. Show me your wrist, and we will begin, spoke Kakuzu as he extended the hand with the weird string in it. Naruto did as he was told and reached out with his right hand wrist held up high. Naruto watched as Kakuzu placed the weird string on his wrist, and for a brief moment nothing happened, but then the string arched upwards and then shot down straight into Naruto's wrist. Shouted Naruto as he fell to the ground, squeezing his wrist as hard as he could. He could feel the string moving through his arm towards the rest of his body, and it felt like every nerve in his body was being dipped in acid that was being electrocuted. The pain was indescribably, even more so than when he gained his immortality, but this time there was no dark voices in his head, but unfortunately his mother never came to fight the pain away. Naruto felt a bit sad, but he had no time to complain as the pain continued to increase. Every second it felt like the string would divide inside of his arm, and then those 2 strings would divide, and then those 4 would divide, and so on, and so forth. Naruto looked at his arm and nearly threw up when he saw what looked like worms, snakes, strings, and other things like that moving under his arm, building at the skin on top. The worst part though was his anxiety started to act up as the pain of the thread things in his arm slowly crept through his arm towards the rest of his body. Naruto screamed as he felt countless threads moving from his arm up the side of his face, into his heart, and down his side, poking, stabbing, and rubbing against everything they liked. The process was slow and painful, there was no doubt about that. Naruto could feel the threads covering his body and hooking to everything inside of his body. It was like the threads were connecting themselves to every cell in Naruto's body, and there wasn't anything that was going to stop them from doing their mission. Kakuzu watched with fascination as Naruto looked to be housing countless snakes beneath his skin. If he had a funny bone in his body, he would have made a joke about how this reminded him of Orochimaru and his snake jutsu that came out of his mouth, but this was Kakuzu, so there was no way he was going to do that. Watching Naruto scream in pain and wither on the floor brought back a lot of memories for Kakuzu. He remembered when he stole the Earth Grudge Fear from Taki and applied it to himself, and had to go through exactly the same thing Naruto was going through. He remembered when he had gotten better, he went back to Taki and stole the hearts of those who had tried to punish him for failing his mission, though to no fault of his own, by stealing their hearts with his new kinjutsu. For almost 80 years Kakuzu had the Earth Grudge Fear all to himself, using it to keep him alive, defeat his enemies, and master jutsu from all 5 of the basic elements that would put Mei to shame. He had incorporated the Earth Grudge Fear into his taijutsu, ninjutsu, and even genjutsu style, though he rarely used genjutsu as it wasn't his thing. There was another great boost the Earth Grudge Fear had given him that he had not expected. While Kakuzu had been born with high levels of chakra, the Earth Grudge Fear had greatly increased his chakra reserves. The threads acted like their own chakra network, allowing him to produce chakra from them, and the hearts that he stole also produced their own chakra, which Kakuzu was able to add to his own reserves, causing Kakuzu to become a chakra powerhouse. Kakuzu had always wondered what would happen if he tried to take the heart of a bloodline user, like those of the Storm Release bloodline in Kumo. He wondered if he would be able to use their elemental bloodline, or if he would only be able to use the 2 elements that made up that bloodline. He had never really gotten around to figuring out with his obsession with money, and him having to master all 5 of the basic elements as well. After meeting Naruto and joining up with the Akatsuki, the idea had almost vanished from his thoughts, but still every now and again they popped back up, which left Kakuzu curious. He was sure it would take him years to master even one elemental bloodline, since he doubted a clan would want to teach him how to use the heart of one of their fallen comrades, especially after he ripped it from their chests. But he was sure with practice and time he would figure it out, and have a whole new set of skills and jutsu to work with. Kakuzu went to say something, but then his senses started to go haywire. He instantly went to his defensive mode, and not a moment too soon, as the entire house exploded, sending a bright red fireball into the night sky, blinding many around them. "Did you get him?" came a voice from the tree line as a man walked out into the moonlight, and of course the light of the fire that was burning from the earthen home that Kakuzu and Naruto had been staying in. "Of course, there is no way someone would have been able to survive that," came another voice, this time more feminine, as a smaller figure jumped out of the tree lines and walked towards the first. "That will teach them to try and steal our bounties," spoke the final man as he came from behind a boulder not far away. This one had a dopey look on his face, and was much larger than the first 2. These 3 were the tree-wandering ninja. Their leader Ishidate, and his 2 friends/subordinates Karenbana and Kongo, who were both smirking victoriously after what they believed was a successful surprise attack. Ishidate is a tall man who had orange spiky hair, with a headband with no village symbol on it, and blue eyes. Ishidate wears a blue shirt with pants and a white vest over it, and on his right hand is his petrification gauntlet that has an eye on the back of the hand. Karenbana appeared to be a child, but was actually 22 years old. She wore a long shaggy white hair, and she has light pink-colored eyes. She wore a gray headband on her head. She wore a long open white vest that goes down just below her knees and a pinkish-colored long-sleeve shirt that turns into a skirt just above her vest. She also wore a short pair of black shorts and a black pair of gloves. She appeared to be wearing pink lipstick and eyeliner. Kongo was a large and muscular man, with a very wide frame and thick limbs. He had a very bulbous nose, relatively small and beady black-colored eyes, and thick lips. His long shaggy brown hair made him look somewhat like a rock star. He wore a white vest over a green shirt, a pair of black gloves and a gray-colored forehead protector with no village symbol on it. Overall, Kongo gave off the appearance of a brutish and violent man. Kakuzu was anything but happy as he pushed a heavy stone slab off of his body and stood up to look at the 3 idiots he was about to kill. He eyed them all, making sure they realized what was about to happen before he unlatched his arms and sent both of his hands at the idiots before him. Ishidate saw the attack coming and quickly jumped back, but Kongo and Karenbana were caught and slowly dragged, kicking and chalking towards Kakuzu as he slowly chalked the life out of them for attacking him so brazenly. Behind Kakuzu, the ground started to shift as Naruto pushed some earth off of him and tried to stand up, but the pain of the threads running through his legs was too intense, causing him to fall back down on his knees as his labored breathing increased. You gasp, ass gasp hole. You gasp protected your gasp self, but you left me to gasp, take the brunt of that damn gasp jutsu, shouted Naruto as he tried to catch his breath, but the threads were piercing his lungs and his strength was failing him quickly due to the threads eating up his chakra in rapid succession. I told you that you had been baited too much by the Fuma clan. This is the real world, so deal with it, spoke Kakuzu as he dragged the fat one and the girl towards him. When they got close enough that Kakuzu's arms went back to normal, he lifted them both up and began to strangle them. Did I ever tell you, gasped, that I find the fact that you kill half of the people via strangling with your bare hands disturbing, spoke Naruto as he whipped some sweat off his brow and placed both hands on the crumbled earth for support. Shut up, spoke Kakuzu as he went back to strangling the 2 idiots who were stupid enough to attack him. Ishidate saw what was going on and instantly knew that the big guy was out of his league, and if he wanted to survive he would need his team, so he made a split-second decision and made his move. Naruto was surprised when he felt a presence behind him, but he was too weak to dodge and was quickly brought into a headlock. He looked back and saw another man who had a similar hairstyle to the 2 who Kakuzu was killing. Stop right there or the boy gets it, shouted Ishidate as he looked over at Kakuzu, who looked back at him for a moment before going back to strangle his 2 teammates. You bastard, didn't you hear me? I said stop or the brat gets it, shouted Ishidate as he put his hand next to Naruto's face and his gauntlet activated with the eye opening up for Kakuzu to see. When Kakuzu saw the eye on the gauntlet, he realized it was a weapon made by the Takumi village, which was known for their powerful and weird weapons, but still he didn't care. He quickly snapped the necks of the 2 idiots in his hands and turned around to look at the man who had Naruto in his grasp. Ishidate was shocked when Kakuzu snapped his 2 comrades' necks, but he wouldn't act a fool. He needed to escape, and that was what he was going to do. He refused to die in such an unsightly way. If you let me leave, I can guarantee the boy's safety, spoke Ishidate, knowing that he had the upper hand here, but was shocked by what happened next. Naruto, you got caught, but I'm not the type to deal with these types of situations the mundane way, spoke Kakuzu as he started to go through hand signs. Please, oh great deity, don't let him do what I think he is about to do, thought Naruto, hoping and praying that Kakuzu didn't do what he knew he was going to do, but he was sure he was going to do it anyways. Hey, what are you doing? Don't you care about the boy's life, spoke Ishidate, getting more and more scared by the minute. Fire release. Intelligent hard work, shouted Kakuzu as he exhaled a powerful wave of fire that rushed across the earth, burning everything in its path to ash right before it got to Naruto and Ishidate. The explosion was immense and Kakuzu was sure any normal human would have been reduced to ash. As Kakuzu looked out into the burning ground, a hand popped out of the ground that had burns on it, and pulled Naruto out of the ground using the last of the boy's strength before he collapsed on the ground breathing heavily. Kakuzu looked the boy over and saw that about half of his boy was pretty raw from the fire jutsu, but on the edges he could see that it was already healing, so he wasn't really worried. He grinned when he looked down at Naruto's wrists, seeing 2 black rings wrapped around each of them. You gasp bastard, spoke Naruto through half-lidded eyes. He was in so much pain, and all he wanted to do was fall asleep, but then he heard Kakuzu start to speak, so he forced himself to stay awake for another moment. Congrats, brat, you now have your own Earth Grudge fear. Now you are the second person to ever wield it in the past 100 years, spoke Kakuzu as he lifted Naruto's arm, and showed him the two black bands around his wrists. He saw the boy smile and dropped his arm when the boy finally passed out. I am one step closer to reviving my clan and showing the world that you can't stop the Uzumaki no matter how many times you kill us, ha ha ha, thought Naruto right before he passed out. If it isn't Akatsuki's most fair-weathered member, spoke a snaky tone in the dark. There was some mumbling as well as the casual shifting of eyes from the one who had spoken, to the one who was being spoken about, and then back to the original speaker. It figures the one with the loudest mouth would make the most idiotic comment, spoke Kakuzu as he gazed over towards Deidara with a look of contempt. Or should I have said the one with the most mouths? Kakuzu and Deidara had never been on good terms. It seemed that the Akatsuki had a personality divide within it. On one side there were the emotionless members, Itachi, Pain, Konan, Sasori, Kakuzu, Hirako, and Black Setsu, and on the other side there was the over-the-top members, Kisame, Deidara, Hidan, White Setsu, and Tobi. The emotionless members were usually quiet, only speaking when they were conveying useful information, or trying to learn something to help the group or themselves. The loud mothers were usually just idiots, though Kisame could be clever when he wanted to be. This led to more than one confrontation that Pain usually had to break up himself.